happy Thursday, everybody. Oh, it's Thursday, right? It's Thursday. Yesterday was not Thursday. I thought yesterday was Thursday, but it was not Thursday. Today is Thursday. Tomorrow is Friday. That's followed by Saturday, and I hope that all of you have a wonderful Thursday today and that your Friday is even better. Good to see you guys wherever you are, however you may be listening. Thanks for making us part of your day. We got a lot to cover today, and we'll jump into that here shortly. Jen, good morning.
You only did one mic check. That threw me off.
Oh, sorry. I was doing two things at once, and I've got a cough drop in my mouth. So it was just, you know, when it first hits and your mouth just explodes in shit. Never mind. Go ahead, Jen.
No, I just keep explaining what's going on. Yeah, too many explosions in your mouth this morning.
Yeah, and then you're like, do I spit it out? Yeah, it's just a tough decision.
I mean,
God damn
spitters are for sure.
Every fucking day I say something stupid. Every day.
It's something you can always count on. It's saying something that's off and you're not switching to the video screen.
Yeah, thank you. Axe says not to yell at him.
I don't ever yell at him. I don't yell at anybody, really.
You are capable of yelling without yelling. I don't know how to explain that, but you consistently yell at people without raising your voice. That's just a true fact.
I don't disagree.
Thank you.
That's fair.
Thank you.
That's fair. I mean, I do yell though. That is one of my things that I'm not. My mom yelled when she was a yeller, and I yell, and of course my spawn is sensitive, and I hurt feelings easy. So
poor you. You have to see. Not only do you yell, then you have to deal with somebody's emotions. That's devastating.
It is. It's very. It's difficult. It's really hard to be me sometimes. But how was your evening? Did you have a good evening?
Yeah, I fell asleep at like 8:15. I just laid down for a minute. I'm like, I still got to shower and brush my teeth, and then I woke up and it was 4:30 in the morning. So that was a good night.
I figured out I can't if I fall asleep before midnight. I wake up at stupid times, like super early. So I figured out I have to stay up till midnight, or I'm gonna wake up at like ass crack of dawn.
I remember those days. I can't do it anymore. Once you change, like, because the problem is my body wakes up at the same time. So if I stay up till midnight, I'm up at 4:30.
Yeah. No. What for me? What happens if I fall asleep at like 11:30? I'm awake at 4.
All right.
And
get more stuff done.
Midnight. No, because I don't get up. That's the issue.
People are saying that you're a gremlin. Is that true? I don't know anything about that. Is this true?
No, right. I don't see that anywhere. I think you're just making things up again.
Amy Lynn said it. Said because she's a gremlin.
Oh, Amy just wants to start fights with people for no good reason. So, I mean, Amy might need a new nickname in the Discord. I will have to pick one. So.
Sorry about that, Amy. That was my bad.
Yeah. Anyways, but so we're getting going. I see we're on TikTok. We'll see how long that lasts today. Obviously, that's TikTok is pissed off at Jay all the time. I don't know if you're saying something, but usually the appeal goes through. So if we get taken down, we're in other places. It's the link tree in the bio. Just if you guys want to.
Yesterday, they had a problem with Trump. That's who they got mad at. They were mad at Trump for disinformation.
Well, political mom Chelsea was worried if it was what she said, but we got taken down when you were talking. So
yeah, it doesn't. Even if it was Chelsea, it's still about me.
It's always about you.
Yeah.
But so yeah, we're just getting going. So on TikTok, if you want to tap the screen, let's get us up to 25K likes, share, repost, however, all the things that you do on TikTok to hopefully keep us up. We've got some gift goals over there. I try to keep updated. If you help us send, the gift goals, your heart means all that good stuff sometimes. But who knows? It'll probably get taken down. That's just how it goes. So if you're a paid subscriber wherever you're watching, if you're not a paid subscriber, please become one so you can join us for members only events. What?
I just like how you worded that. I was wondering where it was going to go. If you're not, it was very polite. You said it in a very polite way. I appreciate it.
I can be nice. I know how to do that.
Yeah.
I'm capable. I just don't always choose to. So, yeah. Well, have you put any thoughts about the trailer for the movie?
I watched it. Yeah. What's it called? 2073? Is that what it's called? Did I get that right? I know. I typed in 2037 trailer on YouTube, and I watched the trailer. Yeah, that's definitely what we're gonna watch. So on Monday, I'll pull it up. What's the title? You guys know there?
2073, I think.
Is it 2073? That's what we're gonna watch on Monday. I'm excited for that.
Yeah. So yeah.
Somehow a movie about the end of the world is going to be less depressing than the series that we just watched. So that's good.
Or the current state of our world. Or...
Yeah. I think some people are going to watch that and be like, it wouldn't be so bad if the entire world was obliterated.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're, depending on where you're watching, if you're a paid member, subscriber, whatever it's called, you can join us for those members only events in Discord. So if you're on Twitch, you can use your Amazon Prime sub for, if you use your own money, he bases his money. And then, become a paid member. If you guys disagree with RTP, you can come up and have a chat with him. How you do that is you send me a message on Discord. My Discord's the same as the Venmo username. So send me a message on Discord, Jen with 2 N's, Deb with 2 B's, the number 1, and I can bring you up. Check out the link tree in the bio. We're on most social media platforms. We got merch. Jay's on Cameo. We upload the episodes to Spotify, even though Jay still hasn't done the thing that I asked him to do last week. And yeah, that give call. We do this each day, Monday through Friday from 8:30 to noonish Pacific time, which will be changing on Sunday because time changes. So we will be changing to 9:30 Pacific time to 1ish.
Correct.
So I decided to go for a walk last night.
Nice.
I passed a slice of apple pie.
Okay.
An ice cream sundae.
Okay.
Lemon cheesecake, and I said to myself, the streets seem strangely deserted.
Okay. All right. Laura said, $2 train early. Thank you. Wasn't me. Said, I'm officially older than dirt today. Ye fucking ha. What is the official age that's older than dirt?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
And Chelsea also sent a Venmo saying, love being part of the community since 2023.
Hell yeah. Some people are asking how to join the movie night. If you're a member, you just need to join the Discord. So make sure that you have joined the Discord. If you have questions about joining the Discord, you can message any of the moderators. And then do you have to message somebody and say that you're a subscriber, or is that automatically generated?
When people join Discord, I included instructions on how to link their Discord to whatever membership they have. So if you're not in the Discord, you can send me a message. Like I said earlier about the Jen with 2 N's, Deb with 2 B's, the number 1. So
you can also send me a message, and I will likely not respond. But if I do, I will say message Jen. So there's all sorts of options.
Yep.
Yeah. There we go. All right. Well, anything else, Jen?
No. Just make sure you put the video on.
Okay. Love you too.
You.
Ew. It's devastating. All right. I want to show you guys a new Fox News poll, and I don't think Trump's going to be very happy about this poll. I wouldn't be. This is about the President Trump's job performance here. Overall, 43% of those polled approve of his performance. There was somebody in here earlier like, liberal tears are the sweetest. I don't know if these are liberal tears or not. 57% disapprove. On border security, that's his one winning number, 52%, which is fair enough. We can give Trump credit for having a more secure border. I think that's fair to give him credit for that. Immigration, he's underwater at 47%. Jobs and employment, 43%. Taxes, 40%. He cut taxes. This is what's crazy. He cut taxes and has a negative approval number. That's how bad this guy is. Foreign policy, 40%. The economy, 38%. Healthcare, 38%. Tariffs, 36%. And cost of living, 32%. He's absolutely buried underwater. Yeah, some of you are correctly pointing out that the border's more secure because nobody wants to come here. That's true. It is more secure. We don't like the process by which it became more secure, but if like your only goal was that the border be more secure, you can give him credit for that if you'd like. With this poll, I think I'm confused on the definition of so much winning. It's hard. It's 4D chess, I think. I think this is one of those instances of winning is actually losing in all the polls. I think we need Jen to do cameo. She can berate us, tell us a joke, or that she loves us. Jen, how much would somebody have to pay you to do a cameo saying I love you, but like acting like you meant it? Saying I love you, but like acting like.
Hold on.
Gotta really think about this one. I think 30 is low. I don't know what the number is going to be. I should check Cameo. Nobody has sent in a Cameo.
Right.
Have they? Hi.
I couldn't hear. What? Ask again. How much? What?
How much would somebody have to pay you to make a personalized cameo where you say I love you, but you say it like authentically?
Casey said $100. That doesn't feel like enough. Probably a minimum of $100. Probably a minimum.
When's the last time you uttered the words "I love you"?
I say it to my spawn all the time.
What's all the time? Is that every day?
Yeah, every day, a couple times a day.
All right. How do you say it?
More.
Can you reenact that for us?
No.
Just say it. Just pretend I'm Spawn real quick. I'm
No.
off to school.
No.
Bye, Mom. I'm off to school. I love you.
No, I'm not doing that.
I tried.
No.
Could you record it sometime?
No.
All right, I'm going to talk to Spawn. She's going to record it. She's got a cell phone.
She'll tell you. I say my family growing up didn't say that, so it's something that I do make sure I say it to her.
Can you have Spawn call me later? I just need to have an unrelated discussion, please.
I don't know. Maybe we'll see.
All right.
She likes to talk to you, so I mean, possibly.
Just tell her. Just tell her I want to have a discussion. She can call me later.
I mean, I know why. I mean, I will hear the whole conversation, but you'll record it or some shit. I don't know.
No, I wouldn't dare.
Right. All right. Get going.
All right. Bye. All right. We're not going to do Harry Enton today because I didn't feel like I could match Harry Enton's energy today. So we're going to go to NBC News and look from Steve Kornacki. And I think this is important data for Democrats to see. This is specifically about how James Tallarico was able to rack up such huge numbers. And part of that also has to do with Jasmine Crockett, right? There was a lot of, I'm not centered in that frame over there. And then I got to move this other one. There was just a lot of people who were excited to vote in the midterms in Texas, not on the right, but on the left. And important for Democrats, not only in Texas, but in other purple states to understand the takeaways there. I think the number one thing that polling's just not going to explain is that those are two of the best candidates that the Democrats could possibly trot out, like in any state. So that matters a lot. Jasmine Crockett's been viewed as a fighter. She's had a lot of great moments in Congress. And then James Tallarico, I was talking to a friend whose dad is like a Democrat in Texas, but they don't have, they're not very political. I was talking to him yesterday, and I was like, I bet your dad loves James Tallarico. And they were like, I don't know who that is. And I was like, just text your dad. How pumped are you about James Tallarico? And they were pumped about James Tallarico. So that's one part of it. But there's other parts of the data that we need to look at, especially in a state like Texas, who, like most Republican states, are just openly cheating. They're just openly like redrawing districts. They're openly willing to do whatever Donald Trump tells them to do to suppress the vote. They're clearly suppressing the vote. We're now seeing like voter registrations. I just saw a video barely where somebody went and they were already registered to vote, but they had to re-register to vote. So they cast a provisional ballot, and then they went to check the status of their provisional ballot, and it says that their voter registration is pending until like March of 2026. So don't even really know what's going on there. But here's some good data.
Kornacki joins me from his home away from home, the big
Might have been 27. I want to say it's 2026. Might have been 27.
board. Steve, great to see you. So you and I were up late last night. Hope you got a few hours of sleep. Tell us how he did it. How did James Tallarico pull off his primary victory? And what does that tell us about Tallarico's potential chances in a general election? Reminder, folks, a Democrat hasn't won a Senate race in more than...
Oh, sorry. Did you see the video of Senator Sheehy breaking a Marine vet's arm? Yeah, I've got it. I'll have it here.
3 decades in Texas.
Yeah, a couple things I think went into this, Kristen. First of all, you see here, I think you start
Welcome everybody
right
from the
around
facts, right?
Tallarico's political base here, which is in the Austin area, Travis County, right outside of it, too.
Wow.
You saw him run up monster numbers there, get monster turnout to go.
Ty wants to know how you join Antifa. You just say it. They're going to assume you're part of Antifa anyway, so I think you just have to say it. It's like Michael Scott declaring bankruptcy. You just go out in the open and say, I declare I am Antifa, and then you're in.
Along with that, and I think that was part of a pattern that you saw throughout the state last night, which is the voters in particular who powered him around Austin and in some other pockets of the state, a lot of white, college-educated, sort of white-collar professional voters. We've talked about that demographic becoming more and more Democratic nationally, being highly engaged in the Trump era, extremely anti-Trump, very motivated to turn out and vote. That demographic really got behind Tallarico. It delivered big numbers from around his base in Austin, but it also allowed him to make some incursions up here. This is the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. A ton of votes came out of here. You do see this was Crockett winning in Dallas County. That's where her district is, but right outside Dallas, north of Dallas in Collin County, Denton County, you see Tallarico was able to make pretty big incursions in Crockett's backyard, again, powered by that sort of, white suburban vote that really turned out in droves, turned out for him. And the ultimate difference maker for him, I think, was in South Texas here, heavily Hispanic area.
The thing is I think Crockett's done a good job. Her concession speech was great. They've both done a good job of not becoming enemies. Those are the places where Tallarico's doing well. That he'll need to steal votes from Trump, and that's a good sign for Democrats. You look at Jasmine Crockett doing obviously very well in highly populated areas. I can't imagine that James Tallarico doesn't do well in those same populated areas, but out in the suburbs. And let's just be honest. Like, they're being honest. Let's all be honest. It was very helpful for James Tallarico to be a very Christian, very white dude with a side part in the suburbs. That was super helpful to him, right? Let's just be honest. And that's going to be super helpful to him running in an election in Texas, where, if we're just being real, there's some of these voters that voted for Tallarico. I don't know what the percentage is. It would have been interesting to see, but there's a percentage of these voters who would not have shown up for Jasmine Crockett. Like, it's not like the Democrats, the party doesn't also have racists or white supremacists or people who believe in white supremacy, right? Like, you can still be relatively progressive on a lot of issues and have your own internalized misogyny and racism, or it could be outward racism. Like that, we're not immune to that over here on the left. So let's just be honest. That's going to be helpful. But what's also super telling is the amount of votes that Jasmine Crockett got, and the amount of votes that showed up in total. 2.28, almost 2.3 million votes there. That's a stunning amount of votes.
He beat Crockett, 2-1. He beat her by 30 points in county after county here. So all of that, I think, added up to the difference that you see right here. What kept Crockett in it was the black vote. All of the counties that you see here, just about all of the counties you see here for Crockett, significant black population there. She clearly won the black vote overwhelmingly in this primary.
Well, it's just fascinating to see that turnout. And of course, your point about
Anthony said, but the way the leftists treat Jasmine here, he won't get the black vote in November. I don't know much about that, to be honest, Anthony. And you just kind of take your word on it. I'm not super. In fact, I'm not really tapped in at all to Texas politics. I don't have a single real connection. I guess one. I know one person who's tapped into Texas politics, so I'll take your word on that. But I don't know. We'll see.
Hispanics, Steve, that could very well be a big determining factor once we get to the general election. Let me ask you about some of the House races, though. What were some of your biggest takeaways from the House races, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, scary night for incumbents in Texas and probably incumbents nationally saying, you know, what's the atmosphere going to be like when primaries come to their state? You already have one who's gone down. Dan Crenshaw, Republican here in the Houston suburbs.
Dan Crenshaw sucks so bad. This guy went from like the hero of the Republican Party, like a former Navy SEAL who I believe his eye injury was in combat, to just like he was just immediately like this neocon who was raking in tons of money. The right turned on him almost immediately. Sean Ryan ended his career about 6 months ago. That was an incredible rise and fall for Dan Crenshaw. He went from this is like the future of the Republican Party to see you later, bitch.
The only House Republican.
I mean, look at those. Look, 26,000 people showed up to vote for him. I don't know how big that district is, but that doesn't seem like a lot.
Just not endorsed by Donald.
Dan's replacement's a Zionist. Well, of course he is.
Trump, and boy, did it show in the results. Crenshaw losing to Steve Toth. By the way, the part of this district that really did Crenshaw in is right here. This is Montgomery County. No county in America delivered a bigger plurality to Donald Trump in 2024 than this county. So arguably the most pro-Trump big county in America sides against the one
Snarky.
candidate not endorsed by Trump, incumbent in Texas. You go look in the 18th district here, two Democratic incumbents squaring off against each other. It is going to go to a runoff. A bit of a surprise here. A lot of folks thought that Al Green.
That was huge by Menifee. Let me go back yesterday because I didn't know a ton about Menifee. I actually think I had his campaign website on here. Let me see. Yeah. I didn't know much about this race. Again, I'm not that tapped into Texas politics. And I don't know. I mean, this is a pretty progressive candidate. I mean, you're running against Al Green, who's beloved, and probably gonna win that. It's gonna go to a runoff. But again, the stuff that we've been saying, this is turning out to be true. Guaranteeing access to healthcare through Medicare for all. That's huge. And then there was another part of this. I think where was the part he talked about ending Citizens United? Is it in this part? It might be in defending our democracy. In Congress, he'll fight to pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act and the Freedom to Vote Act. He'll push for automatic and same-day registration, tougher campaign finance, and an end to gerrymandering that locks communities out of power. I feel like he did. Maybe he didn't. Maybe I'm not remembering that correctly. I might be wrong about that. I have a hard time believing he wouldn't fight to end Citizens United. We'll see.
Longtime incumbent was the underdog here against Christian Menifee, who was just elected 5 weeks ago. They are going to go to a runoff. There will be an incumbent, obviously, who will lose there. How about this one? Colin Allred, Democrat who used to be a House member, coming back, running against the Democrat.
That's Crockett's like district, right? That's where she would have been. Or is that her old one? Where's the Texas people here? Was she in 32 or 33? This does suck for Al Green. I agree. Al Green's a legend, but legends never die. And he winds up losing. And I still like the policies of... what website was I just on? I was on... it's just christianmenifee.com. It's his campaign website.
Who took the seat that he vacated, Julie Johnson. This is going to go to a runoff, but Allred leading preliminarily, double-digit margin over Johnson. There's an incumbent who's in big danger there in the runoff, another incumbent in big danger, Tony Gonzalez, headed towards a runoff. There's been a scandal involving Gonzalez lately. He finishes behind Brandon Herrera in the preliminary.
It's so crazy. This dude has a very public, not only affair, but he's sexually harassing this woman. They wind up having an affair. She feels so badly about it that she sets herself on fire. I know there's some people that say that they don't believe that story. That's fine. I don't know all the details there either. I just haven't heard any like her husband or law enforcement. Everybody seems to buy that story. So I'm left to just say until now that that's the most likely story, but still almost wins.
And then you take a look over even in North Carolina here. Here's an incumbent, Valerie Foushee, two-term incumbent. She is ahead by 1,200 votes, 1% over her challenger, Sanders-backed progressive.
God, I would love to see that switch right there.
Insurgent. Scattering of votes left here. You see, we don't have a check mark. We haven't called it yet, but Foushee may have done just enough to survive there, but certainly not enough if you're an incumbent looking on nationally saying, how's the atmosphere? It can be tough for an incumbent right now.
Yeah, incumbents undoubtedly very jittery when they see those results. Steve, thank you so much. It was great to be up late with you watching all
this was yesterday, so if Nita Alam may have conceded, I'm not sure. I haven't seen that come across my timeline. I haven't. In fact, we can just look, see if she wound up conceding. This was from yesterday. I really more or less just wanted to show like that the progressive wing of the party is not just like, it's not what a lot of Democrats have said it is, where it's just a fringe group of people trying to force leftist policies. Like the voters have gotten more progressive. I don't see any. Oh, I spelled her name wrong. Yeah, Twitter sucks for that, by the way. Twitter, if you spell something wrong, you just won't get any results. Okay, it looks like she conceded. Okay.
the results come in last night. Great to see you as always.
Always fun to do it. Thanks, Kristen.
We thank you for watching.
In North Carolina, is anything under 50% goes to a runoff? Is that true? Runoff would be cool. The thing is Nina Alam came on so late, and the endorsements from AOC and Bernie, those carry a lot of weight. And if that goes to a runoff, you could see that switched pretty easily, I think. We need Jen to do cameo. You did that one already. Please give a warning when you show that video. Many will get queasy. I assume you're talking about the one with Sheehy. Planning on it. We'll get that. All right. Miss any here? Don't think I missed any there. Pull Jen's messages real fast. Jeff said, if you're on TikTok, please donate in the first few minutes. Thank you. Chelsea said, love being part of the community since 2023. Jen did that one already. Okay. Wrong outline. That's yesterday's. Okay. This is petty. I don't know if you guys are going to like this at all, but it annoyed me, so I'm going to play it. This is this happened on the floor of Congress, and while we're criticizing Iran right now, and we love to talk about how they're a theocracy and how Republicans are terrified of Islam and they think it's so scary because they try and force their views into law. Meanwhile, Republicans do the exact same thing. We had a House Oversight hearing yesterday on fraud in Minnesota, and this is I forget his name. It'll pull up. This Republican congressman just couldn't help himself. Decided it was time to have a theological debate on the floor of Congress.
You invoked Matthew 25, and that's a scripture we see tossed around a lot up here, but often.
Now, she's a pastor, so she did invoke in her opening statement scripture talking about taking care of the poor and the needy. And this is what I think is so gross about conservative Christians is that they will take stuff out of the Bible, lessons from the Bible, and then they will flip it and twist it in order to justify their tax policy or their fiscal policy. As far as I can tell from the Bible and all the times I read it, there's not a whole lot of fiscal policy analysis in the Bible. In fact, the only thing that Jesus really ever said about money is that you should, if you have extra, you should help people. And if you're rich, you're probably not getting into heaven. Those are other than that, there wasn't a lot of fiscal policy. But it is wild to watch Republicans stretch and bend to justify why they don't help the needy.
Without context. And so I went and got my Bible and thought we'd dig into Matthew 25 for a minute. The scripture you invoked was Matthew 25, 35 through 40. It ends with this. It says, then the righteous will answer to him, Lord, when did we see you hungry, feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? And when did we see you a stranger and invite you in, or naked and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and come to you? And the king will answer to them, truly I say to you, to the extent that you did to one of those brothers of mine, even the least of them, you did this to me.
So I grew up with the King James Bible, so these the New Age Bible, where it's in more like American English always throws me off.
I would ask you, who's the you in that passage?
Thank you for your question. You, meaning all of us, the followers of Christ.
Followers of Christ, right. In Matthew 24:3, it says, after Jesus was sitting on the Mountain of Olives and the disciples came to him privately, and then they asked him, that began this whole chapter. Now, what Christ didn't say was to lobby your government. He said, if you have, you give.
Yeah. Why are they reading the Bible in a congressional hearing? I don't know. But I still want to show it to watch how they will twist what the Bible says into justifying not helping people who are needy.
Give. That's the general biblical principle here. 2 Corinthians chapter 9 gives us probably the best scriptural understanding of what charity is. It says, each of you should give what you've decided in your heart to give, not reluctantly, under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. Would you say that taxes are under compulsion?
Now we're doing taxation as theft. That's where we're going with this. We shouldn't use taxpayer money to help the needy because it's compulsory. So we should use it to murder people in the Middle East instead.
Taxes are not my area of expertise, but
But are they given under compulsion? Do you pay your taxes?
as a U.S. citizen, I pay my taxes.
Yes,
as we all
because
do.
what happens if you don't?
I mean, taxation is definitely theft.
No, it's not. The government provides currency for you, and the government provides that currency for you so that you don't have to have a barter system. And part of that agreement is if they provide currency for you, which has their name on it, then you have to take some of that currency and give it back to the government as a way to pay the bills that they for the services that they provide. That's not theft. How could they steal from you what is theirs? That's not theft. Everybody who says taxation is theft has no understanding of how our monetary system works. It is not theft. By no definition is it theft.
We don't have the services that we need to support our.
What happens to you personally if you don't pay your taxes?
You get in trouble.
You get in trouble. I would say that's under compulsion. So if we're talking about what charity is, I'm always amazed in D.C. how much of we get to define our personal worth as a politician or statesman or whatever you want to call us by how much of other people's money we give away.
No, nobody does that. All money that you collect, like in this scenario that he's laying out, every dollar that you are taxed that is then spent by the government in his worldview is compulsory. So if all of those dollars were obtained through compulsory means, then don't you still have an obligation to use that money as a Christian for the best, to help people? This argument doesn't make sense. If it's compulsory, then we can use it to just murder people. If it's compulsory, then we should definitely just give it to the billionaires. If it's compulsory, we should hand it out to government contractors. If it's compulsory, we should give it out to oil barons. Just not to people who are in need. This is a nonsense argument.
And so there's certainly a place for a social safety net potentially, but the idea that Matthew 25 is kind of used as a blanket statement. As a matter of fact, the parable that he gives right before that scripture that you go into is the parable of the talents, where you see someone, a business owner, go away and he leaves 3 employees in charge and gives them each a bit of investment. And 2 of them turn their investment into a profit, and one that turns it not into a profit, he does nothing with it, just sits on it. What does he call him?
It's not about profit. The parable of the talents is not about profit. It's about sharing. It's about sharing and expanding your talents. It's not about profit. Like, do you see how bastardized this is? That now the parable of the talent is about profit? Jesus was a capitalist. He said you needed to invest your money wisely. That's why we're just as afraid of them. Like they're just as bad as the Iranians that they point to forcing religion on people in terms of forcing religion. It's the same thing, but like this is so gross. If you're a Christian, it's stupid for me. I'm an atheist. It's just like This is the dumbest fucking conversation. Like in our book, that doesn't make any sense at all, because somehow like in the Bible, Jesus has all these conversations with God, and then other people write down the story. I don't like years later, 20, 30, 40, 50, hundreds of years later, they write down a conversation that Jesus had privately with God. Like the whole thing's hearsay.
You're a pastor, right?
Yes, I am, sir. I don't have.
He calls him a wicked and a lazy servant. And so,
For not making profit or for not sharing his talents? Oh, it's not about making profit.
Scripturally speaking, God expects us to do something with what he's given us. Now, Romans 13 talks about the
What do you think God would want you to do with that money? Do you think he would want you to use it to bomb schools or to take care of the needy? See how this argument doesn't make any sense? It's just a way to say that, like, stop using God's words to tell us to take care of poor people. We get to do whatever we want with it because it's compulsory.
purpose of government. Scripture is replete with, there's different institutions that each have a different thing. The primary job of raising our kids and taking care of our families in the institution of the family.
No, I'm with you, Henry. I understand why they're having this conversation. I understand that they have the same beliefs. And so I don't really care. I don't know why it's in a congressional hearing, but the way he's bastardizing these is gross.
Government has a different one. It says, for the one in the authority is God's servant for your good. But if you do wrong, be afraid. For the rulers do not bear the sword for no reason. They are God's servants to bring agent of wrath on the wrongdoer. Would you say that someone who commits fraud is doing wrong?
We all are against fraud.
Right.
So if people commit fraud, don't give any money to poor people.
Is fraud theft? Would you agree that that's theft?
Yes.
Yeah.
As the 8th commandment says, thou shalt not steal. Would you recommend that someone in your church go into debt to give an offering in your church?
No.
Okay, so we have a massive program of fraud that's being paid for by taxpayers, and it's not really us paying it, it's really our kids and our grandkids that are paying it, and yet we continue to see this massive expansion, all under the taken out of context of what charity is being defined as. It's interesting.
Sorry, did I miss a scripture where Jesus said, give your money to the poor, and then if somebody misuses that money that you give to the poor, then tell them to fuck off and don't give any poor people ever any more money? Is that what Jesus said? I might have missed that part. What is that? Is that in Matthew? Where's that?
I find it odd that the left continues to bring up Matthew 25, because at the very beginning of that, right before he goes in that scripture that we talked with, it says, Matthew 25:32, all the nations will be gathered to him, and he will separate the people from one another as sheep and goats. He will put the sheep on his right and his goats on the left. And the king will say to those on his right, come in, you are blessed of the Father, take your inheritance to the kingdom. And those on his left, he will say, depart from me, you cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. So I would caution those who begin to use Matthew 25 to do so.
Huh? What was the point there? Is that still his point, to not give money to poor people? Does anybody know what he's talking about? The way this is like, the tweet is here. You can see, likely the best thing you'll see on the internet today during a congressional hearing on Minnesota fraud, featuring Walls and AGL. Also, this is Representative Cloud from Texas. Schools a female woke reverend in what Matthew 20:25 really means and what God really commands when it comes to charity. Did he school her here?
So in the proper context, understanding that we have multiple biblical institutions and they each have a purpose.
The context here is vast.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to submit the entirety of Matthew 25 into the record.
And Jesus said, if somebody commits fraud, tell all the other poor people to fuck off. They're not getting shit. That's the scripture they're quoting. Proud Atheist said, someone tell him about the ROI on social programs. Yeah, I guess that's true. If we're talking about multiplying talents, that's a good point there. Illusion said, you tend to click specifically to my life today. Thank you. Oh, that's cool. Thank you. White House account showed the Call of Duty footage and said it was an Iran strike. No, they didn't. Did they really? Jen, will you find that? Is that a real thing? Please tell me that's not real. All right. I'm not going to show it, but there's a new report. I'll show just the first part of this video. It's like 5 minutes long. I don't want to go through the whole thing, but PBS has a new story. And I just thought that these two stories kind of go together.
More than 300 children were molested or sexually assaulted by at least 75 different clergy members over 70 years. The abuses documented date back to the 1950s all the way to 2011.
As a Catholic church, they're still tax exempt. So I don't know what Jesus would have thought about that. Think Congress is going to investigate that? What is that? Give a man a fish he can eat for today. Teach a man to fish he eats every day. Fishing's not that hard. It's Ron Swanson. But completely irrelevant to anything that we're saying here. You can help people who need a hand up and also help them help themselves. You can do both simultaneously. Again, it's the duopoly of the mind of MAGA, where everything is binary. You can either teach somebody to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, which is impossible, or you can give them money, but you can't do both. No, you can just do both. Sometimes people need help. Sometimes people need help learning things. Sometimes people need help creating new habits. Sometimes people need help learning new skills. Sometimes people are just down on their luck and they need a little bit of money to make ends meet. You can just do all of those things collectively. You don't have to choose one or the other. But that's how MAGA has suckered all these dipshits into being like, we shouldn't ever help poor people because I want to teach them. Do both. You can do both. I think that people generally don't want handouts, but I do think for some people, like, they get to a place where that's their only option. Sometimes that's physically that's their only option, and I would much rather, honestly, I would much rather have a system where the benefits poor people or people with disabilities. I would much rather have a system that has some fraud in it than just eliminate the system altogether. There will always be fraud, and this is the game Republicans play. Quick, name me some part of the government. Name me one government program that doesn't have fraud. I've said it before, but close to $1 trillion a year we lose in unpaid taxes. What is the Republican response to that? Fire IRS people. Make the IRS smaller. Make it more difficult to collect fraud. Make it more difficult. What's Trump's response to fraud from white-collar criminals? Pardon them. Excuse them. Don't force them to pay that money back. Trump has pardoned more fraud than has been committed in Minnesota with one pardon. He's pardoned way more fraud. It's what he does. Hey, Jen.
I think I found the Call of Duty one, and I think I found another video, which is not
real.
Call of Duty, but do the first one for.
Why? Why is this real? Oh, is this a screenshot that you sent me? No, that's not a screenshot.
No, click on it.
Oh, it's a screenshot there. There we go. There's an ad. Oh, here it is. Okay. Can I expand that? Ironically, we're going to get copyright stricken for this, and Trump's just throwing it up.
We're winning this fight.
was so cool. Why is everything so theatrical with these people? No, I think it's drop. I think it's drop is what they're saying there. Cool. What was the other thing you sent me, Jen? Is it a video?
I think that was the same one.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay. All right. What the fuck? Who are they hiring at the White House? I know that when they show that to Trump, he's so pumped. He loves that kind of shit. Like that's for him. It's not for anybody else. Cool. Moving on. This is an interesting story, and I want to be. It's a kind of a difficult.
Over 7.
It's kind of difficult to cover. There are a lot of times like this government of ours is obviously not very transparent, and they haven't been transparent for a while. And we want more transparency. However, there are some things that, like, you know, there could be unintended consequences to transparency. I do think this is one of those cases, but what the government is doing here is they're going to bury this. So there's been a lot of push. There's been a lot of talk, especially with that fucking loser out of Texas, of the slush fund that exists in Congress that pays out for, like, sexual harassment claims. This was Massey in 2025. You'll notice he looks a little different, bringing this to light.
You know, Congress has paid over $17 million in hush money for sexual misconduct inside of the offices in these buildings. And what's more is that was taxpayer money, right? The allegation is that President Trump paid $130,000 of his own money. But here in Congress, there may be some on this dais. I mean, I'm for turning loose all of these records. Who in here has had the taxpayer pay for their sexual misconduct charges the hush money?
Raise your hand. Raise your hand, everybody.
I bet there's some over there. There may be some over here. I don't know, but I do know it's taxpayer money, and I do know not a single penny of it has been turned in as a campaign finance expense. Is the FEC going to investigate the $17 million that Congress has paid?
Yeah, he looks different. Everybody in Congress looks different. Why? Because they're all on Wegovy or those GLPs. They're all taking it. They all look better. It's probably covered by their insurance.
To settle, behind closed doors, these sexual misconduct allegations?
Congressman, if a complaint were to come to us about it, I'm sure it would be thoroughly investigated.
All right. So it's not like it's brand new, but I think it was Nancy Mace that brought this to the floor yesterday. And what Nancy Mace wants to do is she wants to have all of that information be public. Now, her bill is shit. The motion she brought to the floor doesn't have the type of language that it should. So there are, from time to time, there are false allegations. I do believe that if there are false allegations that have been investigated and they've been cleared, then I think as somebody who might be on the receiving end of false allegations, maybe you wouldn't make that public. But what should be public is any sort of payout. Whether you say it's false or not, if you agreed to a settlement, that should be public. And then the public can decide whether or not they believe you or the person that you settled with. But that absolutely should be public. If taxpayer money goes to settle a case, then that should be public. If you don't want to settle the case, play it out in court. You can go to court for that. But if you choose to settle a case, that's our money. We deserve to know about that, and we deserve to know the details. Unfortunately, Nancy Mace's bill. And I watched the hearing here for when she proposed it. Unfortunately, it wasn't very clear. There weren't protections for anybody who might have been, again, somebody who there may have been an allegation that was found to be untrue. It didn't specifically say it was just for payments. She said at one point, like, I'd be fine with that. And then everybody took this as an opportunity to vote this bill down. But here is Anna Paulina Luna saying something, again, absolutely true. And we've shown a lot of Anna Paulina Luna and Thomas Massey because this is just one of those places where we agree. This is one of those places where you'll find the progressive left and the few women that they allow in Congress on the right, and then a handful of men are going to agree with.
All right. I support Representative Mace's subpoena here, as well as the amendment to it. And I just think it's really disgusting how this institution protects itself, because y'all just half of them voted to send this stuff to House Ethics, where you know it's going to die. We know that members of Congress are using taxpayer dollars to pay off sexual harassment. We just had a member of Congress literally sexually harass a woman that then lit herself on fire, and you guys all protected him. You guys all protected my own side, your side. And so if you guys want to talk about victims, if you want to go out and virtue signal, and then you guys are going to kill her stuff on the floor and then try to pass it. Yeah, of course, we should subpoena all of this stuff. But just, I'm not going to sit here and play games. I think it's a complete fraud. I think that's why the American people hate us. I think the midterms are coming up, and everyone should go on record for this. And I hope that members are exposed for this. I hope it goes back, I think, to the 70s, because it's wrong that it's happening. It's wrong that we cover up for it. It's wrong that we can't censure our own side because people are busy making deals because you guys don't want to censure your side. It's a deal that's been cut, and people hate us for it.
Yeah. And what her complaint, which is legitimate, and what they should have done is it clarified the language and then brought this to the floor. But instead, what they're going to do is they're going to send this back to committees, which kind of makes sense, right? You go send it back to committees, and then you mark up the bill, and then you vote it out of the committees. The problem with these committees is that they are run by Republicans, all of them. And nobody should trust that Republicans are going to release information about sexual abuse or sexual misconduct, because they never do. And she's right about that. This is why the American people hate them. But she's also right. She said, like, we all know what's going to happen. We all know that this is going to go back to committee, and a handful of people are going to keep this from coming out of committee, and the American people won't know because nobody pays attention to these committee hearings, and this will just die. And we will never get to the bottom of any of this shit. Everybody already knows the outcome here, unless we get really loud. Nomad said, for Jen's behind-the-scenes work, great job. Thanks, Nomad. And Malcolm said, church equals money laundering. Yeah. Yeah. And then here, again, hate to show it, but whatever. We got Bobo occasionally making sense.
I'm absolutely disgusted that we couldn't even get to 50 members of Congress who want immediate transparency. Don't we all?
I think 357 members of Congress voted no. Again, procedurally, I get it. Like, if you're not going to mark this up, and the way that it was being offered by Nancy Mace is not a sensible way to go about this. I do think that it's okay for some people to vote no on this if they're not going, because eventually the motion was, does it go back to committee or not? So then the vote was, do we send this back to committee or do we just let it die? But only 50 something members, or just under 50 members, voted yes to bring this resolution to light.
Campaign on transparency. Don't we all go out and tell the American voters that we are leaders and that we are going to get justice for them, that we are going to do right by them, and then we hire their daughters to come work for us, and your tax dollars, millions and millions of dollars, has been used in this slush fund as hush money to silence victims who have been sexually harassed, sexually abused by members of Congress. And then Congress is going to do exactly what it does best, investigate itself. And we know that none of that ever goes anywhere. The American people demand transparency. And this doesn't just pertain to a ranch in Arizona or New Mexico or an island down in the Virgin Islands. This is happening right here in our nation's capital. And we should be held to the highest standards. And to every member who voted to send this to committee, where you know this was sent to die on the House floor just moments ago, I hope you have a darn good reason to tell your constituents why you are not going to stand up for the victims. And I'm glad that we are doing something about it here in the Oversight Committee. I'm glad that this motion was made here, so we actually have another chance at transparency. But again, these are your tax dollars. These are your tax dollars that were used to silence victims. They have been settled with victims. And to the members who voted against this, go home and tell your daughters what you did today. Go home and tell your daughters what happens in the world.
That's the question I have for everybody who voted for Trump, always. How do you explain that to your daughters? How do you put your name next to that guy? You all know he went to court, found civilly liable for sexual abuse. You all know that. You signed your name next to it. You co-signed that. That's if we allow you like the loophole of I ignored every other claim of sexual abuse from this man. I ignored his wife saying it. I ignored journalists credibly accusing him of the same types of crimes over and over and over again. That's if we allow you there. Like even then it finally goes to court and a jury finds, yeah, he did that, and you sign your name. How do you look your daughters in the eyes? How do the people around you trust you around their daughters? Because if it's your friend, if it's somebody you care about who does this to somebody, who abuses somebody, you can't be trusted. You won't tell the truth. Yeah, allow you, Patrick. Allow you. That's how a conversation works. That's how a debate works. If we grant you, do we just grant you that? If we grant you that. Jesus Christ, dude. You're soft as baby shit, man.
Workplace, no matter where it is, in your hometown, in your nation's capital, and tell them what you did to help continue to cover up decades of corruption. I am absolutely in favor of this motion.
Now, to respond to Bobo here, she's been loud about the release of the Epstein files, but she's also been loud publicly saying that Donald Trump has been exonerated, which he absolutely has not been. She wasn't loud when he was found civilly liable for sexual abuse either. These same women, I appreciate what they're doing now. I'm glad they're on our team. That's why we're going to show this, or on our side on this issue. That's why we show it. But they also were very, very quiet about Donald Trump. They don't hold this standard for him. He gets a different set of standards. How many pictures do you have of Lauren Boebert hanging out with Matt Gaetz? She knew the allegations for Matt Gaetz. She knew about the ethics committee bearing the allegations against Matt Gaetz. Was there any public outcry from her? Did she ever come out against Matt Gaetz? No. When it's politically expedient for her, she does it. This is her opportunity. This is a good look for her. She knows that she gets goodwill across the media. Shows that are much bigger than this will show this clip of her, and they'll be like, good, she's on the right side of history. Agreed. She's doing the right thing here. But it's not like she holds this principle across the board either. So it comes off as a little pretty disingenuous when you say this and you're like, it's abhorrent that you guys do this. It's like, all right, well, let's take a look in the mirror a little bit later there, Bobo. Still can't save her. I'm doing my very best. All right. Oh, here's this video. Okay, trigger warning here for some violence. This is Tim Sheehy. A lot of you guys have seen this, but there was, I believe it was at a town hall. No, a subcommittee hearing. Oh, shit. I thought this was a town hall. This was a subcommittee hearing? For the Armed Services Committee. Okay. Now, Tim Sheehy, who is on the Armed Services Committee, is a senator from Montana, also credibly accused and found guilty in the court of public opinion of stolen valor. This is a United States Marine who stood up and said, we do not want to fight for Israel. We don't want to risk our lives for Israel. That's a fair thing for a Marine to say. And if you stand up and you object during a committee hearing, you will be removed. And you might be removed forcefully. That's the job of, I assume this is Capitol Police here. It is not the job of a senator, but Sheehy decided he wanted to get into the fight. And trigger warning, you are going to see an arm snap in half. So this is Sheehy right here, who is now engaged in this fight, and nobody knows why the fuck. You'll see later how far he had to come to engage in this fight against a Marine. Stolen valor dumb fuck here decides he's got to fight a Marine because the Marine said, I don't want to die for Israel. I don't want to fight for Israel.
Ow! No one wants to fight for Israel!
His hand! Oh! His hand!
Sir. Let go of your hand. Let go of the door.
Telling him to let go of the door. His arm is literally stuck. He winds up there for a while.
Let go of the door. The senator broke his hand. A sitting U.S. senator just broke the hand of a Marine. Sir. Okay. Control your Senate. Arm stuck in the door. Okay, sir. A U.S. Senator just broke the hand of a Marine. Hands stuck. A U.S. Senator just broke the hand of a Marine.
And now this guy that is shouting a U.S. Senator just broke the hand of the Marine is all of us.
You're a coward. Punk.
Now, you'll see, he says, you're a coward, punk. And then he says, go fuck yourself. You don't say, go fuck yourself. You say, go fuck yourself, unless somebody just told you to go fuck themselves. So this thin-skinned little bitch who decided to go attack a Marine, then when was called a coward, told a constituent to go fuck themselves.
Just broke the hand of a Marine. You're a coward. Punk. Go fuck yourself. What do you say? Senator? Go fuck yourself. You're a shitty seal. That's why you got kicked out, fat ass.
You're a shitty seal. That's why you got kicked out, fat ass. And then Sheehy leaves. You can see, like, he makes his turn here. He's out. He's gone. He just runs away. Doesn't stay there. Doesn't deal with the aftermath. Just bounces. That's the senator. That's who we replaced. That's who Montana decided to replace one of their most beloved senators ever with. A very moderate Democrat. What was his name? John Tester. And Montana chose this dude because he was just like he was just a Trump dick rider. I don't even think he's from Montana. Like, I think there was some weird stuff with his residency as well. We proud of that? What's MAGA saying in the chat? You guys proud of that? That an American soldier, a Marine, stood up, used his voice. Yeah, there's repercussions for that. You'll get removed. Are you proud that one of your Republican senators went up, joined the fight, and broke that man's arm? Show his tweet. What did he say? I think it's actually here. Capitol Police were attempting to remove an unhinged protester from the armed services hearing. He was fighting back. I decided to help out and de-escalate the situation. Oh, yeah. It was a great de-escalation. This gentleman came to the Capitol looking for a confrontation, and he got one. Oh, you dumb bitch. I hadn't even read it. What a fucking bitch. You didn't come to fight. You came to talk, you stupid, thin-skinned bitch. Jesus. Jessica said, because I appreciate you. Thank you, Jessica. I appreciate you too. Becky, thanks for joining the Dollar Train. Pretty cool though by Sheehy there, right? You guys proud of your Republican friends today? Jen. Amber said it's not any GLP-1, it's adrenochrome. Maybe it's Maybelline. I don't know. It could be Maybelline. All right, moving on. Oh, wait, not quite moving on, because let's also remember that maybe this is why Sheehy reacted to this. This was a month after he was elected. Gets to Congress, and he's going to film this ad in his cool jacket.
I'm Tim Sheehy. I'm a recently elected U.S. Senator from the state of Montana, and I'm here as my first act as elected senator to show our allies in Israel and the broader allies throughout the Middle East that America still has a commitment to this region. And
first act, ran to Israel. So perhaps the guy saying, I don't want to fight for Israel is why Sheehy was upset. Do you think Sheehy would have done that if that person was, I don't know, standing up and saying, we can't let men and women's sports? Do you think Sheehy would have ran to remove them? Or do you think Sheehy would have stood there and watched? He would have stood there and watched. He didn't like what the guy was saying.
And there's no question that America stands with Israel, stands with the men and women of Israel. And of course, we'll do everything we can to make sure the IDF and the men and women of the IDF have the best gear, intelligence, technology, and support they have.
Montana doesn't play? Well, he's not from Montana.
To get this done. And of course, we've seen recent events unfold continually, from the events in Syria to, of course, broader geopolitical events in the region, that this is still unfolding, and the next couple of years are going to be very pivotal for the future of the Middle East and the world. And we need to make clear that the United States has a strong, consistent foreign policy that projects strength and projects the certainty that we're going to be involved here. We're going to support our allies, most importantly, the men and women of Israel. I'd say finally, Israel's got a friend in me, and America's got your back 100%. And most importantly, we got to bring those hostages home tomorrow. We're not going to stop. We're not going to relent until we bring them home. We're going to have your back 100% as you pursue that aim. And it's an honor to be here.
Good to see you, Leanne. That's true. Romney wasn't from Utah. That's true. But I wasn't saying that. I'm not saying Utah doesn't fuck around by holding up Mitt Romney. So, in context, good to see you, though. Mr. Radio, relax. Calm down. Deep breaths, bud. Stop yelling at the auto moderators. You're going to be fine. All right. Let's get into this. You had what I'm trying to remember. Ellison's name, Keith Ellison. He is the Attorney General in Minnesota. He and Governor Walz came before a committee hearing. We showed some of this the other day, but I wanted to show you this as well, because James Comer and the Republicans pretend that they give a fuck about fraud, but they don't. They only give a fuck about fraud when it's politically expedient. If you want to look at where the most fraud in this country is, it's just not Minnesota. It simply is not, even by percentage. It's not California. California might have a high dollar amount, but by percentage of what they receive, it's actually lower. And so they've just been bringing in people from Minnesota, and Democrats, like they always do, show up for these hearings. Republicans never do. They just say, I'm not coming anymore. This was an interesting part here. Like, James Comer didn't want to let anybody speak. James Comer has a narrative, and he makes a lot of wild claims here that he can't substantiate. And I wanted to show you just like how what a waste of time this committee is on hearing about waste, fraud, and abuse. They have no intention on doing anything about waste, fraud, and abuse in Minnesota. And in fact, their inaction shows that there's not really anything they can do, because Minnesota's already doing what you're supposed to do.
That is right. At any point during your tenure, did you tell state agencies to stop payments due to credible fraud allegations? Yes or no?
All right. Raise your hand if you think Attorney General Ellison should have put a stop payment order on Medicare funds that were going into the state as a whole. Just do a blanket stop payment. Raise your hand if you think that's the right thing to do stop payments. And we'll play the video, but I just want to see raise of hands if you think that the Attorney General should have put a stop payment on all payments until they figured out fraud. I want to see hands. Can't just put a hand in there, yes or no.
Sir, we prosecuted over 300 people in the Medicaid fraud area.
300, I would predict is a drop in the bucket. But you've never said to stop payments. That's
it's one of the highest rates in the country, sir.
Well, you have one of the highest fraud rates in the country in Minnesota.
That's not true. And my office doesn't have the authority to do a stop payment. We prosecute criminals when they're presented us.
Yeah. He can't. The Attorney General can't do that. Why doesn't Comer know that? Or does he know that and he's just trying to get clicks? There's an alarming amount of people in this administration and in this chat who have no fucking idea how our government works. Who can do what? They don't seem to really even care. You can't do that. Why are you asking that? Why is Comer asking that question?
By the agency.
So the answer is no, unfortunately. No one's ever from your office said to stop payments until we can get the fraud under control. So to summarize.
That is right.
Weird that you didn't know that, right? Here is Eli Crane. I can't stand
That's
this
Mr.
dude.
Crane.
He's anybody here from Prescott or around Prescott? This is your congressional representative, Eli Crane. Like, he thinks he has a gotcha. And again, I'm left to believe that none of them know how the government functions, and also they can't comprehend what they read or what they hear. This went around right-wing media all day today too. They're like, got him. Eli Crane eviscerates Keith Ellison. No.
From Arizona.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to our guests for coming today. I want to start with you, Attorney General Ellison.
Oh, sorry, real quick. Also, Sophia said, adding to your Antifa foundation, appreciation to my friend Jay and Jen and the crew, and the best mods in the world. Agreed. Shout out Asta Sophia. Kelly said, people don't think grass be wet in the morning, but it do. That one. Ty said, do you think the U.S. will ever break from Israel? Yeah, I think I do. I think that it's headed in that direction.
In an interview with CNN host Laura Coates, she asked you about whether or not you did enough to stop the fraud. Do you remember that interview, Attorney General?
Congressman, I got to admit that.
I guess sorry, I missed that one from you, Melanie. Did I see the general sitting in the front, didn't even turn around while this was happening? I did not see that.
But I don't remember the details.
Can we play the video, please? So, to refresh Mr. Ellison's memory.
All right, here we go.
Ready to. It may take us a second on that.
Here comes the gotcha.
Okay, I'll just tell you what you said when she asked you if you'd done enough to stop the fraud, and she mentioned the $9 billion. You said, of course we have done enough. We're doing more every single day. This is a political matter. This is not a serious thing. Do you remember saying that, Attorney General?
What do you think he's talking about there? Just think about it. Given that answer, what do you think the question was?
Ellison.
I remember the conversation. What I remember was that I was lamenting the politicized nature of this very serious problem.
You said it's not a serious thing. So now you're saying
fraud is a serious thing.
Okay, well that's not what you said on CNN.
Right. He's the response from the Trump administration, that hasn't been serious. They haven't opened any investigations. They haven't done anything. They just stopped giving the money that they were allowed to have, that they were supposed to have. And now there are people who desperately need this money who aren't receiving it. And it would be one thing if the federal government was stepping in and fixing the problem, but they're not. They're just going after Tim Walz' estate. They just want to hurt Democrats. Natalie said, my Antifa dues, fuck Trump. Thank you.
Mr. Ellison, you said this is a political matter.
Who elected Asmongold to the House? That's devastating.
This is a quote. This is not a serious thing. So I notice you're changing your tune now that you're before the House Oversight Committee.
I would have to.
Do you understand, Mr. Attorney General, why this adds gasoline to the fire when Americans are so frustrated with this government for their out-of-control spending and the amount of money they pay in taxes, and then to see $9 billion of it? And
this is just like every generic Republican I know from Northern Arizona. They're just like, they don't really know what's going on, but they love gotchas, and they think, like, he just thinks he's cooking right now.
Of $9 billion getting stolen of their taxpayer dollars and being used to fund cars and vacations and homes and even fund terrorism. Do you understand how statements like that throw gasoline on the fire, sir?
Congressman, I believe that you are mischaracterizing what I said.
No, I actually read you the quote. I'm not
and
mischaracterizing
Mr. Crane, that
it at all.
video's ready if you still want it.
All right, now let's see the video.
Let's play it, please.
This is the time when Eli Crane should realize, I fucked up. But he's too stupid to realize that he fucked up, because comprehension's not really something he's great at.
Is that there has been hundreds of millions of dollars, but now there are some estimates that there could be $9 billion or more. And Gnome was just suggesting they took hundreds of people off the street who were involved in fraud. Are you confident your office has done enough?
Of course, we've done enough, and we're doing more every single day. This is
How can you say we're doing, I get it. Of course we've done enough. Take that out of context, which he left. What was the next part? We're doing more every single day. So yeah, he's not saying that we quit. He said we're literally doing more every single day. And it was in response to Gnome lying, saying that she took hundreds of these fraudsters off the street. They have not convicted or charged a single person with fraud that Kristi Noem's ICE brown shirts took off the street. That's made up. She just made that shit up, which is what she does. But he takes this whole leaves out the question. The question being that, like, which is a dishonest question, that Kristi Noem actually was the one doing the real heavy lifting, took hundreds of these people off the street that were engaged in fraud, which there's no evidence of. Why he just leaves that part out? This is the part where he should be like, I fucked up.
A political matter. This is not a serious thing.
It's a political matter. It's not a serious thing. He's obviously talking about Kristi Noem attacking him, saying that she was better. In just their short amount of time, they took hundreds of these fraudsters off the streets. It's not true. That is political. It's political games. It's not a serious matter. He doesn't need to respond to that. We don't need to focus on that. None of that shit ever happened. So yeah, this is the time that Eli Crane should go, my bad. Sorry, I didn't really listen to the whole thing.
So how are you going to sit here, Attorney General, saying I'm mischaracterizing? I read word for word your quote.
Because we just heard it, brother. We just heard it.
I then showed it to the entire dais, the entire audience here today. How are you going to sit here and say that I mischaracterized you?
Because you did, you dumb fuck. You silly, silly goose. We all just watched it. That's not how you framed it at all. You said that the investigations into fraud weren't a serious matter. That's not what that video said. That video didn't say the investigations into fraud weren't a serious matter. He said what Kristi Noem was doing wasn't a serious matter. It was a political game. Again, clips this. It's up on his. This is his tweet. Fucking cooked him, bro. That's why I don't debate anymore. I don't even I don't know. This is your best. These are the people you've chosen to represent you. This is why it's impossible to debate MAGA anymore. Because there's still, I bet there's still, I'm not watching the chat, but I guarantee there's people in this chat right now, probably Patrick, like, yeah, dude, that is what he's saying. No, it's clearly not. And if you are willing to believe, like, have this level of delusion, how the fuck do we have a conversation with you? We just have to instead do what we do now and show these clips in full context and hope that not everybody's that goddamn dumb.
Congressman, I believe you mischaracterized me, because clearly what I was referring to by not serious is that the serious issue of fraud is being politicized and converted into a political weapon. That is not a serious matter in my view. That is something that I believe all of us should take seriously, but we're not taking seriously enough. So, sir, I would say very clearly, fraud is a odious, horrible.
See, here it is. This is exactly the Schaefer report. Dude, are you seriously trying to say that there isn't rampant fraud from Somalians and that time Waltz didn't look the other way? No! Nobody's saying anything close to that. This is exactly what I'm talking about. What fucking world are you currently in? Do you have a different screen? On my stream, does it show you a different video than what we're watching right now? Because this video is about Kristi Noem saying she took hundreds of fraudsters off the street, which she didn't fucking do. And you say, am I seriously trying to say that there isn't rampant fraud? No, nobody is saying that at all. This is why we can't debate with you. What the fuck are you hearing? I don't know if there's a MAGA translator where whatever I say just changes and comes out of your Trump phone, but literally nobody has said anything even close to that. Please, I'm begging you, MAGA. Listen to words, respond to the words that were spoken, and not whatever the fuck you want to respond to. Respond to the things that you actually hear, not the ticker up there. What aboutism? That was a crazy comment you just made right there. Be better.
A malignant thing, and that's why it should not be turned into a political weapon, but we should come together on a bipartisan
basis. The reason it's becoming political, sir, is because of statements like that when confronted with the $9 billion of fraud in your state. As the top cop in your state,
they weren't asking him about the $9 billion. They were asking about Kristi Noem's comment that she had arrested hundreds of fraudsters. How are you, like, the whole thing, the whole MAGA movement? Like, you're unable to watch a clip in full context and figure out what's going on there? You don't get to just change the question that was asked so that the answer that was given seems stupid. You have to give in context, here's the question that was asked, here's the answer. If you change the question, then yeah, of course it would look crazy. It would be a bad answer by Ellison if they were like, do you think this $9 billion in fraud is a serious matter? And he's like, no, dude, it's not a serious matter. It's political hackery. Yeah, then it would be a bad answer, but that's not what happened here. And yet, Eli Crane and MAGA in the chat, they're like, I'm just going to pretend it was a different question. I know you guys all saw the same thing I did, but I'm just going to pretend that that's not what happened today.
Clearly not doing enough to address. I want to move on. Reverend Tolagard, you said in your opening statement that today's hearing is about fraud in Minnesota, quote, unquote, which is serving as a pretext for the terror the federal government has brought to the people of Minnesota. This fraud has been used as a rationale for deploying 3,000 federal immigrant enforcement agents into our state. Did you say that?
Is any part of that untrue? Before we get to that, is any part of that untrue? Did Kristi Noem and Donald Trump not say that a big reason for the surge was because of the rampant fraud? If she's wrong, like if he doesn't like what she said, then he's also going against Tom Homan, Greg Bovino, Donald Trump, Kristi Noem, Stephen Miller. That's what the administration said they were doing. We're going to surge more people there because of this fraud. That's an accurate statement that she made. It's an accurate statement that he just read back. That agrees with the administration that he supports.
Reverend?
Yes.
This is absolutely false. These federal agents were actually brought in to the state of Minnesota for a very specific operation to remove illegal alien criminals. It wasn't because of the fraud. That's
yeah, it was though. It was like the first group that came in, because remember, ICE was already there and they were going after people who were here that are undocumented. That's true. The surge, which she mentioned, the surge came after Nick Shirley's dumb fucking video where they said, now we're going to send in more resources to help with the fraud. We did a show about this. We were like, why the fuck is DHS going to get, like, what role does DHS have here to go in and uncover Medicare fraud? It didn't even make sense at the time. Like, how in the world is ICE, is this within their purview? That was the argument we had, and the MAGA's like, well, they have to do it. This was a month ago. You guys were all, maybe 2. You were all saying this. You're like, yeah, we're going to send in DHS to fix the fraud. And now he's saying that's not what happened?
It's being handled under a completely different agency and ICE and everything else. That's the U.S. District Attorney, okay? Did you know that?
Yeah, that's what we all said to Trump. We all said that's not the role of ICE or DHS.
Administration has linked all of these things together.
Well, they've linked the fact that you guys supported an open border that let in $15 to $20 million, and some of the
$15 to $20 million is probably low. 15 to 20 million people, which is what he meant, is a made up fucking number that there is no justification for, but that's cool.
Fallout from that is fraud, like the $9 billion we're talking about today. Some of it are the rapists, the gangsters, the people that are committing fraud. They're burglarizing people, they're carjacking people. It's all kind of linked together. It's all.
There we go again. Joe, are you really complaining about fraud being investigated now? Nope. Do you hear words, Joe? We're talking about how he doesn't seem to know why they surged. All of them. It's all MAGA. It's literally all MAGA. You just hear whatever you want, I guess. Not one person at any point has said don't investigate the fraud. What's up, Jen?
Hey, I thought it might be I've seen a couple different comments from people about getting a job. That might be this might be a good time to interject with our
right
announcements really fast. So everybody, this is our job. So this is kind of like bring the dummies to work day. That's why with you all being here. So we are crowdfunded by our audience. So we have that gift goal. You can see there's about 160 left in it. So we're Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats, all go towards knocking out the gift goal so that we can keep doing this every day and pissing you off every damn day.
Hey, Jen, I was thinking, can you look into this? Do you think it's possible that we could get some sort of government funding for running this daytime daycare for MAGA, like teaching them how to read and stuff? Do you think?
I mean, we might not get, I don't know.
Can you talk to Mr. Jones and see if he'll put a proposal together?
That might be, yeah, he could probably write us a grant. That would probably work.
Yeah.
Good idea. I haven't talked to him in a while, but that might be. And no, if someone just says, I am not his girlfriend. Absolutely not. That is disgusting.
Whoa.
No.
That's disgusting. That was a little overboard.
Maybe, but that's how it
Damn.
goes. Anyway,
so
we also, people can help support us by being a paid subscriber or member on any of the channels. So there's that. So if you want to be a paid member, you can join us for members only event. We have one coming up on Monday to watch 2073. We're going to watch that together. So if you want to be a paid member, if you guys disagree with RTP and you want to prove him wrong, he doesn't do typical debates, but he can come up. You guys can come up and chat with him if you think that he's wrong about everything. And how you do that is you look at, if you look at the Venmo username, that's my Discord. You can send me a message on there and I can bring you on. So Discord, Jen with 2 N's, Deb with 2 B's, the number 1. And I can bring you on. You won't because you want to just chirp in the comments. So Jen finally admits the feed is pissing people off. No, I think it's funny to poke at people who are just angry and dumb. Some of you won't change your mind, but whatever. Anyways, check out the link in the bio. We're on most social media platforms. We've got merch. Jay's on Cameo. We upload these episodes to Spotify. And there's that. You know what happens if you pave your own driveway and it doesn't come out well? It's your own asphalt.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right.
Also linked to the SAVE Act, which many of you guys and my Democrat colleagues don't want to vote for, even though 83% of Americans support it. It's all linked.
83% of Americans do not support the SAVE Act. 83%, and he probably doesn't know this, but 83% of Americans think that you should have to have ID to vote, and that's not what the SAVE Act is. They just keep telling dumb Republicans that the SAVE Act is about voter ID, and it's not. So, I don't know how many more times this guy can get everything wrong. It's pretty wild.
Together, but that's not what this operation was about. So you're bearing false witness in this hearing today, because that's not what that operation was about at all.
What I'm here to talk about is the suffering of Minnesotans at the hands of federal agents, including children and their parents, and the great devastation and harm that it has caused across our state and across our wonderful communities.
Have you spoken out about Lake and Riley or any of the American victims that have been raped, murdered, or killed by these illegal aliens, Reverend? I didn't think so. I yield back.
Hey, your beard sucks, by the way. It's a shit-ass beard. I don't know. I guess I wondered how he got elected, and then I sometimes see the chat, and I'm like, oh, that's how. All right. Oh, there's the Sheehy thing. I had that. All right. One other video. This one's kind of long, but I liked it, and just trigger warning to not to most people, but trigger warning MAGA. I'm about to show you a woman speaking, a woman who worked for Joe Biden, and she's on MSNBC. Okay, so before I show this video, take a few deep breaths, punch a pillow. I apologize. I try not to get you guys too upset, but this one's going to be tough for you. So you need to do some shadow boxing, whatever you got to do. I apologize, but trigger warning for MAGA here in the chat. Here's Jen Psaki. Because right now the main story is Kristi Noem's incompetence, but Kash Patel is just as incompetent and maybe possibly more corrupt. I don't know. It's a toss up there. And the reason that these two people are so glaringly incompetent is because this man who dyes his face orange every morning chose his cabinet based on people who would be deathly loyal to him. And in order to be deathly loyal to Donald Trump, you have to kind of be a dipshit. Like you have to be willing to ignore reality and live in like this alternate reality where you are a good leader and you're good at your job, without question. And we've had some bad ones. We've had some real bad FBI directors. Nobody worse. Nobody more incompetent. Without question, we've had some bad DHS secretaries. She's top. She's top of the. She's not even running it. Like, they don't even trust her. Corey Lewandowski's legitimately like signing documents for her. Nobody views her as the leader, but Jen Psaki covering this story. We covered a little bit about Kash Patel, but the members of the FBI and former members of the FBI are very concerned about Kash Patel. If you are a good FBI director, most people don't really ever know who you are. If I took a picture of Chris Wray or James Comey, and I walked around the streets and I said, "Who is this?" Almost, most people would not be able to identify who those people are. If I asked somebody who was the FBI director before Kash Patel, I bet most people couldn't tell you. But if I hold up a picture of old cross-eyed Willie here, everybody's going to know that's Kash Patel because he wants to be in the spotlight all the time. If I walked around with a picture of Alexander Mayorkas, almost nobody would know who that is. But if I walked around with a picture of Kristi Noem, almost everybody would know who that is. Why? Because they demand being in the spotlight. They love being in the spotlight. And when you put yourself into the spotlight that often, and oftentimes when you're in the spotlight, you're seen not doing your job, then it's going to come back to bite you in the ass when the people that work for you, one, are consistently whistleblowing against you, and two, when they're not getting the job done that they need to get done, or they're doing their job in a very shitty way. And then they cry. They're like, "Why are we getting so much attention?" You demand it. You're on podcasts all the time. You're front row at UFC events. You're hanging out with the hockey team. Kristi Noem's I think she was in Argentina, like put up a video of her riding horses with her side piece, by the way. Her poor husband. Her husband was at the hearing. I would not have been there. Monique said, "Got my Soros check for protesting the war with Iran, so here's my Antifa dues. Thank you." And thank you, George, as always, for helping us fight against America and for Iran. Irene, that was a joke. That's going to get clipped. Irene, thank you very much. Got that. All right, let's start this video. This is Jen Psaki.
Was the only unqualified buffoon we needed to be concerned about during a very dangerous time in this country and the world. But there is, of course, Trump's FBI Director Kash Patel, and a brand new analysis from MS Now out today that found that basically any time Kash Patel generates unflattering headlines, he quickly carries out mass firings at the FBI. That's quite a knee-jerk response, isn't it? I mean, each purge of bureau personnel appears to be Patel's strange way of getting back into Trump.
Why do I hate Trump? Because he's fucking stupid and he's the president. And when you have somebody this fucking stupid and corrupt as president, he fucks a lot of things up. And he fucks up a lot of things for me and my friends in this country, so I just don't like him. Thanks for asking.
Trump's good graces, and it's happened in at least 4 key instances that our intrepid reporters have reported on. The most recent example took place after Trump expressed his displeasure with Patel's decision to take a government jet to Italy to party with the men's Olympic hockey team. We've all seen that video.
Chelsea for corrective surgery for cross-eyed Willie. Good. We'll send that to Kash.
Now, just one day later, Patel ordered the firing of at least 10 FBI agents and staff who participated in the investigation of Trump concealing classified documents at his Mar-a-Lago club after he left the presidency. Quite a way to make Trump happy, I suppose. But in those firings, Patel targeted an elite FBI counter-espionage unit that not only investigates mishandling of classified records, but also has expertise in combating threats from Middle Eastern adversaries.
Well, we don't need that. We don't need a group like that. There's nothing going on in the Middle East that we need to worry about right now.
Particularly Iran. So he got in trouble for partying and then fired people with expertise on Iran just as we were launching a war with Iran, all to please Donald Trump or stay in his good graces. And then we, of course, have Kristi Noem, Donald Trump's Secretary of Homeland Security, who has spent the past 2 days on Capitol Hill, and it has been brutal. She's been answering for a mountain, basically, of self-inflicted and embarrassing scandals.
I just want to point out, I loved that comment. You left the Democrat Party when his political opponents raided, with a T, his home. It's raided, R-A-I-D-E-D. But that's a funny thing to do. Like, you left the party when the FBI raided Trump's home. And what did they find? Classified documents. The very classified documents that he promised he didn't have, that he told the FBI 3 times that he didn't have, that his lawyers promised he didn't have. And it was top secret classified information. And this dumb motherfucker's like, I'm leaving the party. He needs to be able to have those documents. Cool, bro. You didn't leave the party. It's a lie, and spelling's not great. But that would be a silly reason to leave the Democratic Party, knowing what those documents were now.
Senior administration officials have described these airplane purchases as the world's worst deal.
I like that. Thank you, Barbara. I think we just solved it. Guys, everybody pay attention to Barbara Buss, and then I'll let this video play. But I think we solved it. Barbara said, when you talk, all I hear is the circus music playing. That's kind of what I was alluding to earlier, right? That, like, when people speak that aren't openly filleting Donald Trump, they just hear whatever. It's just like they can't hear it. They can't hear anything but praise for Donald Trump. And I think she's just like proved it. Yeah, like there's just music playing in her head. Anybody who's not Trump or somebody that doesn't like Trump, her brain's like, nah. Yeah, Jesus, Emily. Jesus.
And an abuse of federal funds.
We need to have a long-range command and control aircraft that will seat up to 17 people in the Department of Homeland Security for national security purposes.
This company that received $143 million in taxpayer dollars, has it ever done work for the government before?
I don't know. I can't.
I'll get back to that one in a little bit.
It has not. And do you know why we know that? Because it was incorporated 8 days. 8 days.
We hear the words you say. The words just don't make sense. No, that helps too, J6. I'm sorry. I'll try and use smaller words.
Days before this contract went out.
Have you had sexual relations with Corey Lewandowski?
Mr. Chairman, I am shocked that we're going down and peddling tabloid garbage.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I seem to remember something about a Chinese spy that Republicans bring up all the time with Eric Swalwell. I seem to remember that. I seem to remember Republicans claiming that Kamala Harris got all of her jobs by sleeping her way to the top. But now we can't talk about that. Now that it's Republicans in office, we can't talk about that anymore.
That was not a no. But Senator Mark Kelly is back with me. Senator, I wanted to play that because
I'll play both of those clips in their entirety here in a minute.
I think it's so important for people to know what these cabinet agencies are responsible for and how it impacts everybody watching out there in terms of their safety and security. And let me start with Patel, because it's very obvious why he chose those particular individuals to fire if they worked on overseeing and reviewing contents of classified information Donald Trump had at Mar-a-Lago. But they also have expertise on an issue we're all facing right now. And an individual who has worked on these issues basically said he was genuinely
mute J6 for the rest of the live. Go fuck yourself, J6.
Frightened for national security because of these firings. What is the impact of an operation like that, a part of law enforcement, being essentially gutted to some degree?
Well, in this case, I mean, these are the folks that work on counterintelligence. So the FBI's role is to keep Americans safe at home. It's not just about crime and arresting people for financial crime and, violent crime that cross state lines. It's not just those things. It's protecting us from these overseas threats, and threats from Iran. You don't have to be at the CIA to be able to make the determination that right now.
Thanks for the Antifa dues there, Darren.
Threats from the Iranians would be up. We are at war with a country. They're going to use every tool they have to respond to this. And it's the FBI's role.
Tony says, who's Cash looking at? Inquiring minds. We don't know. You never know.
But specifically, these individuals who were just fired, it was their job. Who replaces them? You're going to hire somebody from off the street who doesn't have this experience?
And again, they were fired because they were given an assignment. They took that assignment and they did their job. But because that assignment was investigating Trump, they got fired. And so now our country is less safe. We have less intelligence coming out of the Middle East because Trumpy's feelings are hurt.
I mean, these folks are career professionals that have spent years and years building the relationships, and they know how to do this, and now they're out of the agency. So what this means to any...
Elaine, what are you talking? Did I talk about it when Biden was in office? I'm sorry, you'll have to refresh my memory. I don't remember Joe Biden's FBI director firing people for investigating Joe Biden. So I couldn't have talked about this because that never happened.
Person just, at home watching this, a family, you are less safe because the FBI director, in order to get into the good graces of the president, fired some important people at the FBI.
One of the responsibilities under the Department of Homeland Security, as you well know, is cyber threats and facing that and addressing that. And the person who typically oversees that is any cyber attacks is CISA. The Department of CISA is Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. It's understaffed. We know that. It's without leadership. And we just learned that the person who Kristi Noem picked to lead the agency apparently failed a counterintelligence polygraph test.
Nice.
Which really does tell you a lot. I don't have more details on the question, but
that's actually good for if you're trying to join the Trump administration. Being a known liar is a resume builder.
That does tell you a lot. Cyber attacks and threats is...
He was referring to the files found in Biden's garage located in Delaware. Yeah, I did cover that. And we actually played the her recordings, and we covered the hearing of her. Remember, when Biden was president, he sat down for interviews and then allowed didn't try and stop those interviews from being played in front of Congress. And we covered that. So, yeah, thanks. Good question. We cover the administration. We cover all of this stuff. You're just uncomfortable when it's Trump, and so you always try and obfuscate. But there's been people that have been watching the show for years. They all know that we covered the Her investigation. They know we played the recordings. So good question. Yes, we did. So now maybe perhaps you'll start paying attention a little more. Like maybe this guy does cover both sides.
certainly something that we're all watching as it relates to Iran and other countries that are adversaries. How concerning is that? They have no leader, underfunded. How do you think about that?
Well, you got to assume that the Iranians have cyber tools, to use against us. They're a sophisticated enough country. They have the technical means to do these attacks on us, and we need people in these jobs. I mean, I think it shows, again, the incompetence of Kristi Noem. To hire and not vet somebody well enough to be able to determine if they can do something pretty simple that a lot of people in these agencies have to do and pass at a very high level, by the way. So again,
I like it. Billy, the first 30 minutes of this show were me playing videos of Republicans speaking. For the first hour of this show. What do you mean we don't play both sides? I literally just played every video until here has been Republicans.
And, we're highlighting the fact that within Trump's cabinet are people that are making such poor decisions that your family and your friends, and they're less safe because of this president and the people that he has hired.
Patrick, I was a Republican when Obama invaded Libya without congressional approval. And so, yeah, I did criticize him, but I was a Republican at that time.
Senator Mark Kelly, I'm so grateful you could be here. I think your background and your service and your expertise is so important for people to hear from in moments like this. Thank you again.
I didn't have a show at that time, Patrick, but I did talk about it.
Thank you.
Okay, coming up, James Tallarico. I started the show talking about this.
All right. So, cool. Kash Patel getting rid of our intelligence that would warn us about attacks from Iran, which apparently are so serious that we needed to go to war with them. But now we have less visibility. So that was pretty cool. But let's get to Kristi Noem. This was my favorite. This is Representative Cam Lager-Dove as she's entering articles into the record. And this is just petty me, just watching Kristi Noem's face.
My time, I would like to enter into the record some articles, and I'm asking for unanimous consent. Noem tightens her grip on DHS. Lewandowski fired FEMA admin.
Without objection.
Okay. The next one is Kristi Noem secretly took a cut of political donations from ProPublica.
Without objection.
Kristi Noem fires pilot over a blanket, but is forced to reinstate him to fly home. Wall Street Journal.
That was my favorite story. If you don't know this story, she left her blankie on the plane, and they didn't get it out, and so then she fired the pilot, and then they didn't have a pilot to fly home, so then she had to unfire the pilot.
Without objection.
Lewandowski taking out trash at Gnome's D.C. home, Daily Beast.
Without objection.
Barbie's Mile High privacy chamber with alleged lover exposed. Wall Street Journal, how Corey Lewandowski became Kristi Noem's gatekeeper at DHS.
Without objection.
A pilot fired over Kristi Noem's missing blanket and the constant chaos inside DHS. Wall Street Journal. Police charge Trump campaign manager with assault. PBS News.
Without objection.
Woman who accused Corey Lewandowski of assault speaks out. I don't want this to happen to anyone else. CBS News. Lewandowski's firm quietly inked deal with Venezuela-owned company Politico.
Without objection.
List of U.S. cities raising security amid Iran
MAGA in the chat, you guys are getting big mad at me. The longer I stay quiet, the more incensed MAGA in the chat is. These and your insults got to be better. Make them better. If they're funny, I'll read them. You can insult me all you want. I do, but I'm tired of seeing the same ones every day. Be more creative. I'll read them. If you insult me, I'll read them. Or if you want me to read the insult out loud, you can just pay me and I'll read them out loud. But be better.
Conflict. Newsweek.
Without objection.
Kristi Noem, I have a few more, I'm sorry. Kristi Noem.
He's not objecting. He's saying without objection. He's saying like as long as nobody objects, then we'll put him into the record.
Misled Congress yesterday about top aides' role in DHS contracts.
Without objection.
Policy number 10271 from ICE. It is an anti-fraternization policy prohibiting romantic or sexual relationships between supervisors and their subordinates. And with that, I yield.
Without objection, gentleman from Texas recognized 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madam.
All right. That was just me being petty a little bit. Here is Deborah Ross asking Secretary Noem questions about disaster funding for North Carolina. And this is where we have like this divide in this country. And I can honestly say that this does happen on both sides. But it's beyond pathetic the way that Kristi Noem and everybody in this administration refuses to answer questions, just really simple questions. They have prepared remarks. They literally come in with a binder of attacks. So whoever asks them a question, they just open their binder and they read an attack on that person, or they try and filibuster. And Kristi Noem used to be better at this, but she's like so deflated and defeated at this point that like she just consistently gives up. But it's important to remember that Kristi Noem set new rules with DHS that she had to approve any funds over $100,000. And because she seems to be more focused on making commercials and fucking her side piece and riding horses in Argentina and spending hours upon hours in makeup and outfit changes. A lot of these things that she's over, like FEMA aid, wind up not being delivered in a timely manner, which she should definitely have to answer for. And if you remember correctly, Mayorkas sat before these same committees and answered questions. And not once did Mayorkas ever, not one single time, when asked a question, did he ever try and attack the other people or attack the previous administration. Sometimes he didn't give great answers. Sometimes he would deflect. But not once did he do this petty little bullshit where it's like, I can do nothing wrong because Biden bad. Tommy says lovingly, truly, I like you cut, G. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I appreciate that was lovingly and truly. So thank you.
Could you tell me whether you found any fraud, waste, or abuse in these North Carolina expenditures?
You know, Congresswoman, what I would tell you is that Joe Biden failed North Carolina.
Listen to me. I asked you.
Aren't they supposed to find waste, fraud, and abuse? Isn't that what they want to focus on? So even if you ask them the question, the one that they want to talk about, where the Republicans are all about waste, fraud, and abuse, she just simply asked, did you find any? Joe Biden is bad. It is pathetic. This would be an easy one. This isn't even a gotcha question. Yes or no? We're still investigating it. Anything but Joe Biden bad.
That Joe Biden failed North Carolina.
Uh-oh. Here we go. Wandering mind. Please talk her to shut up and answer the question. Please tell her. Thank you. All right. I thought I was going to say something else. Sorry.
Carolina.
Listen to me. I asked you a direct question. Joe Biden provided greater relief.
She's just meandering. Joe Biden is bad and President Trump is good. Her energy is shot. I don't want to say anything. Donald Trump is the greatest president in the history of the world. We don't do anything wrong. We are the best. Joe Biden is the worst.
Joe Biden showed up.
No, he
Joe
didn't.
Biden didn't lie about what was going on the ground. I don't even want to get into what Donald Trump did during the campaign,
President
the
Trump
misinformation that was put out there. And you cannot find the time until my senator berates you in public
President Trump.
to approve this money. Individual members of Congress should not have to come to you. Our counties, our struggling counties in the western part of the state.
By the way, these western counties, these are all Republican counties. This is a Democrat. Sorry about the freeze frame, Miss Ross there. She's standing up for her state, specifically heavily Republican areas. And Kristi Noem's like, Donald Trump is Jesus Christ.
Are some of the most rural counties. They are poor counties. They do not have the money to front for you.
In the months that we have been here, we have deployed billions of dollars, billions more than what the Biden
I am reclaiming my time. You have been too slow. I have heard this from Republican county commissioners. I have heard this from administrators. I have been in the western part of the state. I know exactly what's going on, and you have turned a blind eye while you're busy trying to deport American citizens. And now I want to get back reclaiming my time to the second point that Senator Tillis made. You have not responded to him and the people of North Carolina.
That's the senator, the Republican senator from North Carolina. And we showed that yesterday, ripped into her because she won't answer his emails. He's simply asking, I think it was like Operation Charlotte's Web. He just wants details on that, and she won't respond to a Republican senator's emails. They have oversight. It's their job to make sure she's doing her job, and she won't even respond.
About why you have picked up U.S. citizens. You've heard that from Representative Correa. Why you have intimidated people who are here lawfully, and why you are threatening the economy of one of the most prosperous states in this country by practicing malpractice. You should resign or be impeached.
I love practicing malpractice.
I yield,
Chairman. May I?
All right, now look. Now she's going to get a chance to answer, and I don't remember the Republican's name. Did I write it down here? We'll get it. A Republican jumps in at the end.
Answer that question. The state of North Carolina has received billions more in Helene relief disaster assistance than President Biden did. In fact, every single
because we appropriated the money.
Every project has.
Congress did that. Like again, she's either. I take it back. She's clueless. She can't give them more money. She can take the money that's appropriated and distribute it. And what she's being accused of is being incompetent and not distributing the money that Congress appropriates. And that's why Congress has oversight over her. Congress is saying to her, we appropriated this money and you're delaying it all the time, not even out of any sort of corruption, because you're incompetent. This entire administration is incompetent. You don't do anything well. You suck at your fucking job. And her response is, well, actually, there's more money appropriated. Yeah, no shit. You're in front of the body that appropriated that money, and they're just asking you what you're doing with that money and why it's taking so long to get to the people, because that's your job. You're the delivery mechanism.
It's been
yielded back.
Obligated. It's been paid out. The state manages the response, and those counties get their funding from the state, which has been allocated the FEMA dollars.
The gentleman from Virginia is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Thank you for being here.
Now, this is my favorite part. This is a Republican's chance to back her up. The accusation again is that she's unresponsive and that she is delayed in getting money, and that the people in Western North Carolina are complaining that they are not having their needs met in a timely manner. Her response to that was obviously, oh, you guys gave us more money, and eventually they get the money. Her response wasn't like, oh yeah, we're doing it effectively. There was no defense. Now, His defense here is more pathetic, because remember what Democrats in Congress now are saying is we don't want to fund DHS. We don't want to fund DHS because, one, they mismanage their money all the time. They're giving these massive contracts to their friends. They're overpaying for real estate. They're overpaying for like detention centers. They're overpaying for detention flights. They are mismanaging, but they're running up $220 million in commercials. What the Democrats are saying is we don't want to give you any more money because you're not a good steward of that money. And her response, again, is not that she's not incompetent. Her response was, well, eventually they do get it. And then here's the rest of the defense.
The hypocrisy of my colleagues on the other side when they talk about appropriating money and yet refuse to appropriate.
Nobody was talking about appropriating money, by the way. They were questioning her about her use of the money. Kristi Noem brought up that more money was appropriated. So they weren't actually saying that. This is a failed attempt at hypocrisy. You can't say they're being hypocritical for bringing up a subject they didn't bring up.
Appropriate money for your department. The gentlelady from North Carolina talks about doing your job. Would it help you do your job to actually have an appropriations bill passed by this House?
Well, yes, and I would remind them that the disaster...
Got him. No, it clearly wouldn't, because she sucks at her fucking job now, and she has money. So giving somebody who's dog shit at their job more money doesn't make sense, right? Didn't we just get done watching Republicans say that they needed to cut all the funding to Minnesota because they weren't good stewards of their money? And now they're making the opposite claim, like, even though she's not a good steward of the money, wouldn't it make it easier if we just gave her more money? No logical consistency there.
Disaster relief fund is overcommitted right now. That there are $4 billion there that is committed due to litigation. Another $3 billion we keep for major disasters are oncoming.
All right. Not going super well for. She's not going to keep her job, by the way. They're already floating Markwayne Mullin as her replacement. Which, goddamn, Trump. Can you just pick somebody who can speak in complete sentences and use words correctly? Is there no Republican you can put in these positions that is an effective communicator with some sort of experience? Markwayne Mullin's experience is he inherited his dad's company and ran a semi-successful, I think it was a plumbing company, which he then sold to private equity. Like, they weren't as successful. Then I think he sold it to private equity and now works here. What would his expertise be in managing DHS? He loves Trump. All right. Here is Joe Neguse. I always say, I don't know if that's right, if I say it right, but this was the one we were waiting for. This is just blatant cronyism, corruption. This is Bush, Cheney all over again, and Republicans are silent.
Of the hundreds of thousands of
It's only coming out of my left headphone, so sorry. You might have to adjust your headphones or your speaker.
companies in the United States, you identified 4. One of those is this Safe America Media company. Where is Safe America Media headquartered?
I don't know.
I don't know either, Madam Secretary. We can't find it. We can't find a website. We did find an address that's registered for this company. Do you know where that address is?
Is there a problem with this contract?
I'll tell you about it. Madam Secretary, the address is registered to a political operative. Madam Secretary, the company, and then I'll give you an opportunity to respond. The company is registered to a political operative in Virginia. Do you know, just by way of example, whether this company that received $143 million in taxpayer dollars, has it ever done work for the government before?
I don't know. I can't.
The answer is it has not. And do you know why we know that? Because it was incorporated 8 days before this contract went out.
That's a good idea. Hand off a contract to an 8-day-old company of your friends. Nothing to see here. People who, like political operatives who have donated and worked for the administration, start a company 8 days prior and then give them a contract. Nothing to see here.
You want the American people to believe that this is all above board? Yes, that $143 million of taxpayer money just happened to go to this one company that doesn't have a headquarters, doesn't have a website, has never done work for the federal government before, and is registered apparently or attached to a residence from a political operative. And of course, one of the subcontractors of that contract, as you know, is a political firm that's tied to you back when you were governor of South Dakota. The reason why I ask these questions is that this is taxpayer money.
She's broken. She's cooked. And she's not even going to care when she gets fired. It's going to be the best day of her life when she gets fired. She is so beaten down.
And I presume, I don't know this for a fact, but Senator Tillis noted yesterday the way in which your agency is blocking the Inspector General from 11 different investigations that it is trying to conduct. I don't know if this...
Maybe this would be one of them. One of the reasons I feel better recently about the Trump administration, despite all the goals that they have in Project 2025, and I've said it before, the scariest part about Project 2025 is that with the right people, it was possible to pull off. They don't have the right people. They can't cover up their crimes very well. They can't cover up their corruption very well. We keep catching them, and it's not hard to catch them. The story comes out that an OIG whistleblows and says, hey, we're supposed to be able to conduct investigations, and sometimes we need our information from DHS, and they're blocking these investigations, at least 11 of them. And then the people, they're like, I wonder what they're blocking. Then they start digging into it. And then they find these contracts that are given to their friends, and they're like, tell me about this. And Kristi, I don't know anything about it. Perhaps maybe that was one of the investigations that was being blocked. Phoenix said the company she gave that money to was called Embezzle and Mint. Sounds like a good cocktail.
Happens to be one of them. I certainly hope it is, because eventually the facts will become public in this regard. And there are serious laws implicated, conflict of interest laws, federal procurement laws, that I believe merit...
All done correctly.
All done correctly.
14 billion impressions from that marketing campaign.
Lots of people saw my ads. Oh, okay, good. Thank God. I guess we'll just ignore this then. It was very fucking important. I loved the ads of Mayorkas. Those were my favorite ads of Mayorkas riding on a horse, hair flowing, costume changes. A lot of people saw it on the internet. It was perfect. Now, reports coming out of the White House now, you never know. They'll never confirm them, but they leak them on purpose. Anytime stuff starts coming out from the White House about a certain particular person, it's meant to either get that person back in line, or it's meant as like a test to be like, well, what's the response going to be if we're going to fire this person? And now the reports are coming out that Trump is very upset at Kristi Noem, not for the fraud that she committed, not for her incompetence, but because she said that Trump personally approved the $220 million in these ad campaigns, which were obviously stupid. I'm sure he did, and I'm sure he doesn't remember. And so now that's why they're talking about firing her, not for her incompetence, but because she might have made Trump look like he was incompetent.
There was money spent in this country and in 8 different countries that illegal migration was coming from.
Madam Secretary,
overwhelmingly effective.
We all understand the argument that you've made. That somehow this ad campaign on Fox News of you at Mount Rushmore has led to millions of people self-deporting. You're using millions of dollars of taxpayer money in this way. It is fraud, and ultimately, I think there's going to be accountability.
If you had evidence, though, that those ads did lead to self-deportation, you can track that. You could track the impressions. You would see an influx. Like, maybe. Let's see some evidence, though, from this administration. I don't know that they know how to do that. I don't trust that any of them would even know how to prove that. They just do shit, and then they take credit for the good outcomes and ignore the bad outcomes. What's this? Sounds like you believe a lot of BS. How are you on the 20 million illegals in 3 years? Contracts to friends. Ever heard of Minnesota? Amazing how Dems throw shade to cover their BS. That's DZ Blanchard. There were not 20 million illegal immigrants that came into this country in the last 3 years. Google it right now. It's a made-up number. Contracts to friends. Didn't I just talk about the Bush administration? Didn't I just talk about that? And the contracts given to friends? I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Chat, can you guys tell me, was there a contract that was given to Joe Biden's friends? Or I guess in this case, it would be like Mayorkas's friends. Yeah, anytime that happens, I'm against it. Ever heard of Minnesota? I have. Yep. And I covered that long before Nick Shirley did. We actually covered the fraud in Minnesota like 9 months before Nick Shirley did. When that video came out, we were all like, yeah, we already knew this. We've already covered this shit. Covered it months ago. You guys were late on the Minnesota fraud. And then amazing how Dems throw shade to cover their BS. Yeah, I don't know what BS that is, but thanks. Good question. Go ahead. Do you want to pull that number for me about the 20 million illegal immigrants that came in during the Biden administration? Find me a source. I dare you to find a source for that number. The source is literally Donald Trump making up that fucking number. There is no source for that number. So let's not talk about BS when you say dumb shit like that. All right, here's Lou Correa.
And Madam Secretary.
Important to remember, we do live in a police state now. American citizens are forced to provide documentation to prove that they're allowed to walk down the street. Not me. It'll never happen to me. Not most of you, because what? But there are American citizens here who just look different than we do and may have an accent, and they are forced to prove that they have the right to be in this country to an ICE agent, which that proof should be done in court. That's how our justice system works. And those people are being abused. They get kidnapped. They get detained. Some of them have died. Some of them have been beaten. Some of them have gotten very sick. Some of them had their homes broken into. This is what a police state looks like. Ash Raid, thanks everybody coming over from the Ash Raid. Appreciate it.
Terry, is your department detaining
you? Oh,
you?
sorry, real quick. I need to read a couple of these. Sorry. William said, I can't believe they had a whole committee meeting without mentioning
the Ash Raiders.
What's that?
Welcome to Ash Raiders on TikTok.
Jen wasn't listening, was she?
I was.
I just said, welcome, Ash Raiders. Like right before I did this.
Oh, and then I lied. I was. And I lied.
It was like the last words I said before I started reading these. William said, I can't believe they had a whole committee meeting without mentioning the Dow. Amber said, remember when Biden gave money to North Carolina and Trump cut it when he came in? The math proves it. I don't know about that one. I don't remember that. Somer said, thank you for your hard work. Thank you. Appreciate it very much. All right, back to Lou Correa.
Citizens?
No, we are not. We have...
Have you taken any American citizens to your facilities to be processed?
If they are children and families that want to stay together, then
Wait, did Gnome get fired? Is this breaking news? Seeing that a lot now. Oh shit! I was right about Mark Wayne Mullen. There we go. All right.
What I'm seeing is Trump is preparing to fire her, considering firing. Doesn't look like she's been fired.
It's right here. I think this is Trump's True Social from 10:41. Yeah, I don't know what time that is. I'm pleased to announce that the highly respected United States Senator from the great state of Oklahoma, Mark Wayne Mullen, will become the United States Secretary of Homeland Security effective March 31st. Current Secretary Kristi Noem, who has served us well and has had numerous and spectacular results, especially on the border, will be moving to be special envoy for the Shield of Americas. The fuck? Our new security initiative in the Western Hemisphere we are announcing on Saturday in Doral. Why? You're bringing in another dipshit? Why? Why are you doing... Why Mark Wayne Mullen? Why?
Have you looked up what the Shield of America is?
It says that they're going to announce it this weekend. Do you have anything on it?
Yeah.
This is great. Serving 10 years in the Senate, House of Representatives and 3 in the Senate, Mark Wayne has done a tremendous job representing the wonderful people of Oklahoma, where I won all 77 counties. This has to make it about him. MAGA warrior and a former undefeated professional fighter. He went 1-0, I think, in like a amateur fight. Is the only Native American in the Senate. Mark Wayne is a fantastic advocate for our incredible tribal communities. I somehow doubt that he's an incredible advocate for the tribal communities. I'm not sure. Well, we nailed it. I guess. Oh, damn! This is gonna be our last Kristi Noem hearing. I'll keep going.
Have the
Adults.
option to do that.
Adults.
And they have the option to do that.
Have you detained American citizen adults?
I think there have been individuals that had probable cause that came into detainment or an identity that needed to be
What probable cause could you have to be detained by ICE if you are an American citizen? Aren't they supposed to, if you commit a crime, they're supposed to hand you over to police, right? If you're an American citizen. What probable cause could you have to be detained in what, again, asking about in their facilities? Amy Lynn said, buy batch Kristi Noem, the Twatsy. Jesus. Ax said, just to make people in the chat mad, we appreciate everything you, Jen, and all the mods do. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. It does make the chat mad, which I appreciate.
Confirmed.
You
and
talked
then they were released
earlier-
when their identity was confirmed and released.
You talked earlier about context.
Mhm.
I'll give you a couple of examples. Willie Winder, U.S. citizen, North Carolina. Saturday morning, sitting in his car, waiting for food from a local restaurant. DHS agent approached him, asked him if he was a citizen, gave that agent his real ID, and then 15 minutes later, he was allowed to go finish ordering his food. When he came back out of the restaurant, another CBP agent approached him. When he was getting in his truck, they broke his truck window, dragged him out of his car, and handcuffed him. Showed his ID, but they didn't believe him. Moments later, they released him. Joshi Villamar, U.S. citizen, again, North Carolina, owns a landscape business. CBP agents grabbed him from behind, pushed him to the ground. His workers, his brothers were shouting, he's a U.S. citizen. They still took him. Despite having identity, show him a U.S. citizen, he was still carried out. Again, they weren't at a protest. These individuals were just minding their own business, going to work. So, Secretary Noem, when I was growing up, ICE agents would stop me out in the street, and they would ask me, are you a U.S. citizen? And my answer would be yes, and that was enough. Today, that's not.
Can she now be held accountable? I mean, probably not. They're probably going to use executive, like Trump will probably use executive privilege. But once Trump's out of office, yeah. And that's the thing that, I mean, if I worked for MAGA, you have to understand that accountability is coming. Unless you just think that legitimately Trump and MAGA will be in power forever, accountability is on its way. And once Trump's out of office, he can't really assert executive privilege anymore. So for anything she did that was illegal, yeah, she can face accountability. A lot of this stuff, though, unfortunately, members of the government are protected for being inept. Right? Like there's been a lot of times members of the government have fucked up. I have a difference of opinion, but like MAGA would tell you that Hillary Clinton was responsible for Benghazi. I think it's far more nuanced than that. But even let's just say that was true, still can't really prosecute her, right? You can't prosecute somebody for incompetence in the government. That's kind of allowed. So it would depend on what she did. But yeah, there can be some accountability.
Case. So what would you say?
Yeah, maybe state crimes.
What do you suggest I tell my citizens back home? Have a passport with you all the time?
No, I would tell your citizens to be grateful they live in this country where President Trump is
We
upholding
are,
the law.
but ma'am,
Those that
if
are
you're
here
stopped as a
illegally-
U.S. citizen out in the street
those that are here
and you
illegally
tell people the U.S. citizen and you're still held,
should return back to their
that is not the country
before
we're
they're
supposed to
that we
live
will
in.
voluntarily help them self-deport if they would like to.
These are American citizens, ma'am. Do I tell my children to carry a U.S. passport?
No, I would not say they would have to.
But
I
they're
would say
stopped,
if
and
they are legal
sometimes
citizens,
they
don't
take
have
those
anything to worry
passports,
about.
your agents throw them out, and they grab them anyway. You're terrorizing American citizens. Let's turn to another one.
Yeah. I was clicked on Steve-O on accident there. Callie said Kristi Noem boom boom plane, aka Aircock. All right. On to now Melanie Stansbury. This kind of sucks. I'm not getting as much enjoyment out of this now, knowing that she's fired. But we're still going to do it because Mark Wayne Mullen's going to have to step in and either fix these problems or he's going to have to answer the same questions. And he's not a lot better. He's not very good at this.
By saying at the beginning of my comments here what I said at the beginning of the last hearing that we had on this exact same subject, which is that we must unequivocally root out waste, fraud, and abuse and prosecute any crimes wherever they happen, whether those crimes are happening in social service programs at the state level.
This is in the wrong spot. Sorry. That's in the wrong spot. Let me go to here to Jasmine Crockett. I'll get back to that one later because that was for the other hearing. Here's Jasmine Crockett. And a shout out to Jasmine Crockett. Still showing up and doing the work. She could easily just kind of like phone it in now, but she didn't. She's still showing up doing the work.
Aware that the law makes it clear that
Pam Bondi should be next. Well, they just passed a resolution to subpoena Pam Bondi. So Pam Bondi may be next because she's coming, and it had bipartisan support. Pam Bondi will be asked a bunch of really difficult questions soon, and it was Republicans and Democrats voting for it.
members of Congress are allowed to enter any detention facility at any point in time in which they choose to?
Yes, I'm aware of the visitation and oversight responsibility, and we work every day to try to accommodate members of Congress while taking into account the safety of those individuals that are being detained there.
At any time.
This is an interesting argument from Kristi Noem, too. Like, they're not letting members of Congress in, and then they say, we're taking into account the safety of the people detained there. Could anybody come up with a scenario where having members of Congress visiting these detention centers would put the people detained in harm's way? Like, what are you protecting them from? I have no fucking clue what she would even be referencing there. What would you protect them from? Think the members of Congress are like going to come in and fight them?
Correct?
Yes, I understand there's litigation in this area.
No, that's not my question. I'm not asking you about litigation.
Yeah.
I'm asking you what the law is, because let me put it to you this
There's
way.
an appropriations rider that talks about
Correct,
oversight.
and appropriations are law, because you are asking us to
correct.
appropriate dollars right now for DHS, correct?
Correct.
And if we do that, you would take that as law, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so that is what the law states, yet somehow, myself and another colleague, Congressman Castro, we ended up giving a 7-day notice to the Dilley detention facility because I had actually already gone to El Paso before. And when I went to that facility and I asked them why it was that they were requiring me to do something that specifically my branch of government had dictated was not required, they said it was because of you. They said you were the one that said that they were not allowed to allow us entry unless we gave a 7 days heads up. Is that true?
Yeah. The law specifically states oversight and visitations, and we are working to facilitate those. And we're at that time working
Did you give the instruction?
Did you tell them that they had to give 7 days? Trying to figure out where that rule came from because it's not in the law. So who made this new rule out of nowhere that you had to give 7 days notice? Kristi Noem. We're trying to figure it out.
That members must give a 7 days heads up or not.
We had a policy in place that allowed us to get.
Were you the one that ordered that policy?
I have a responsibility for ensuring everybody in that facility is going to be safe, and that I have adequate.
No, that's not a hard question. Who wrote the policy? Who chose that was the policy?
But that's not my question, because the
conduct
problem,
a
let
tour
me tell you why we need
at the same
to,
time.
reclaiming my time. The reason that I'm talking to you about this policy and you're talking to me about safety.
We already did, Mary. You might just be getting here. We already covered that they fired Noem.
Is because I did go into the Dilley detention facility. And let me tell you, they're not safe. This is why we need to conduct oversight, because your people continue. In fact, you have lost more lives in detention than anybody else. That is your record right now. So I don't expect that y'all are going to be the ones that are going to be best to keep them safe. This is why we are supposed to conduct oversight and not wait for you to give permission. In fact, after I left the Dilley facility, we were informed of a measles outbreak that was taking place in that facility. And another question I have, are you the one that ordered it to be reopened, because that facility was closed under Joe Biden?
Those facilities were opened with the new administration.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, duh. duh, right? Like that's literally what Crockett just said. Who decided to reopen it?
Okay, you're part of the new administration. Were you the one that ordered it to be open is my question.
I would have to see when it was opened because I wasn't sworn in until 5 days after.
Okay, well, it was
out.
reopened in
So
March.
I would have to look at when
it was reopened in March of last year.
Well, then I'm sure that contract would have been renewed while I was secretary.
Speaking of contracts, as I have actually, you know what? Let me continue on this line.
So yeah, it was you. Is that the answer?
Of y'all breaking the law. Are you familiar with a child by the name of Liam Ramos?
I am.
All right, so Liam was at this Dilley facility, and it just so happened that we had put in our 7 days notice, and y'all had grabbed him 6 days prior to our visit. So we were able to go and visit Liam. Are you aware of the court order that came down that released Liam from custody?
I am.
And are you aware that the judge said the case has its genesis in an ill-conceived and incompetently implemented government pursuit of daily deportation quotas, apparently even if it requires traumatizing children? This court and others regularly send undocumented people to prison and orders them deported, but do so by proper legal procedures. Are you aware of that?
Yes, and I would disagree with the judge on several
I'm sure you
points.
would.
Yeah. Yeah, but we don't, if we don't like the rulings from judges, we just ignore them. That's American. That's patriotism. We do whatever we want. And if judges rule against us, we say, fuck you.
But can you tell me whether or not you have a law degree?
Father chose to.
Can you tell me whether or not you have a law degree?
If I have what?
A law degree.
No, I do not have a law degree.
And you do understand, because I can go through a bunch of court cases and orders that I disagree with from the Supreme Court, that ultimately, that is the order of the court. That is what you follow, and if you have an issue, you appeal it up, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. The court went on to say, apparent also is the government's ignorance of an American historical document called the Declaration of Independence. 33-year-old Thomas Jefferson enumerated grievances against a would-be authoritarian king over his nascent nation. Among others were, he has sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people. He has excited domestic insurrection among us, for quartering large bodies of armed troops among us. He has kept us among, in times of peace, standing armies without the consent of our legislatures. Are you aware that he wrote that? Do you know that he was writing about ICE that falls under you?
The judge?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. With that, I will yield, but I do have 2 UCs. The first UC is ICE training was slashed, records show corroborating whistleblower claims from the Washington Post on yesterday.
Without objection.
The second one is...
Yeah, I see that they didn't fire her. They moved her to a different role. Why? Control. Trump needs control over her still. She's got a lot of information, and she's very, very stupid. And she also loves publicity. So if Trump fires her and just lets her go back to whatever she's doing, she's going to go on podcasts and she's going to say dumb shit and she's going to get him in trouble. They're literally making it up. It's called, Jen has this. Let's see. It's called the Shield of America. Project Shield America is an ICE initiative preventing illegal export of sensitive technology. I don't think that's it. No, I don't think they've announced it yet. In Trump's statement, he said they were going to announce it at Doral this weekend. So we'll know. But yeah, of course they're going to keep her a watchful eye on her. You can't let this person go rogue. She's not smart enough to go rogue. She'll say all the shit that she's not supposed to say.
FEMA's response to Texas flood slowed by Gnome's cost controls. This is out of CNN from July 10th of 2025.
Without objection.
They're upcoming announcing it. But there's some background. It's considered a demotion.
Yeah. Yeah. From a secretary position to an advisor role. Yeah. All right. Were there any other ones here I wanted to cover? Yeah, I just like this. This was Representative Balint. And a lot of you are talking about this as far as like what's going to happen. I see some people frustrated saying that with Gnome gone, and if they fire Bondi, then Trump gets to shift the blame on them. I get why that's frustrating. It's also what you should expect. It's also what he always does. He's always done that. Nobody should expect that he was going to ride this out and not shift the blame on it. He would shift the blame on it, and he has. Remember when he was going through lawsuits and he kept blaming Ivanka and Don Jr.? He's like, oh, I don't make those decisions, they do. And he started throwing his own kids under the bus. Donald Trump will throw anybody under the bus before him, so we shouldn't be surprised by that. And it also should be no surprise that it's, women.
The court said in the Oversight case, it said the court rejects this testimony from ICE's leadership as disingenuous, as squalid, and dishonorable. So we have a federal judge.
That type of language isn't normal for judges against an administration. If you just go through and you read these court orders, Republicans dismiss it as like activist judges. But what, activist judges didn't exist before? It's only because of Trump. It couldn't possibly be his administration. It's certainly the activist judges.
Who has rejected testimony from ICE's leadership because it wasn't true. So the head of ICE, acting director Todd Lyons, lied in sworn testimony. Has he been fired?
No, Todd Lyons is a good man who has
Have there been
a good man who lied over and over in testimony while doing his job. Who cares if he's a good man? If he lies while doing his job, you should fire him.
Any, Secretary Noem, have there been any consequences? Has there been any consequences for him lying to a federal judge? That's what I want to know. Are there any consequences for someone under your leadership
common knowledge
lying?
We have activist judges out there throwing opinions.
So you have
around
said
that are not based-
Throwing opinions around. They're not opinions. They're legal rulings. An opinion is something that you, like your opinion on it. These are legal rulings, not opinions. You can't dismiss the courts. You can't do that. That destroys the Constitution. That destroys America. If we become a country who ignores court orders, we no longer have a functioning Constitution. And they openly admit it all the fucking time. I'm tired of the people in the chat every day. They're like, you hate America. This version? Fuck yeah, I hate America. I don't want fascism. I don't like the court rulings all the time. I don't like a lot of the Supreme Court rulings, but that becomes the law. And if you start saying that what the courts rule is not the law, then you no longer have law and order. What you have is an autocracy. And it seems it's weird every day that MAGA comes in here and they're like, you hate America. Why won't you embrace an autocracy? Because that's not really like we were founded to get away from that. We were warned against this administration. Every founding father was like, be careful. You have to have checks and balances. You have to have and they have to be strong checks and balances. And if you don't have these checks and balances, we'll quickly go back to an autocracy. And watching MAGA like cheerlead that, like it's the best thing. Like, oh, I got fucking finally an autocracy. If you're agreeing with her, what you're saying is that the law is open to interpretation based on whoever the president is. You would not like that if it was reversed. And you can say what you want about previous presidents. There's never been in our lifetime such open, direct attacks on the Constitution. And then the cheerleading behind it is getting pathetic.
Again, I just want to bring us back to my question. You have said that we are a nation of laws. Mm-hmm. Yes. Nobody is above the law. You are not above the law. Todd Lyons is not above the law. No one working for you, nobody working for you is above the law. So I want to say this, Secretary Noem. It is shocking to Americans right now to see that you can sit in front of this committee and continue to cover for people who are working under you. You're in charge now. This is your DHS. The buck stops with you. The fact that you have...
There's that Gnome is going nowhere. She just got fired, bud. Laughing right back. She literally just got fired like 10 minutes ago. What's the rest of that? Thank God every single day for President Trump. Or now what do we do? She's definitely, she just got fired 10 minutes ago. She's literally going somewhere else.
Have people working under you that are lying to federal judges.
So are we supposed to follow the rulings of George Soros appointed judges? No, I'm with you on that. any judge appointed by George Soros, you should not follow. They are not legally appointed because George Soros can't legally appoint judges. So I guess we're on the same page there. If you find a judge that was appointed by George Soros, no, we should not follow their rulings.
And that you're not going to take responsibility for that and hold them accountable to that is shocking. And I think Americans deserve so much better.
She is not fired. Oh, good. Oh, good Lord. Yeah, for sure. For sure, she's not fired. I'm just making that up.
Better than that. And your employees have regularly ignored court orders and lied to judges. Now you're covering up. And I just want to say, this conduct alone is impeachable. And I want you to know that Americans will get accountability for the damage that you have done. For the lawless.
Well, that was nice of Trump to put her out of her misery. What is she, a puppy? A goat, perhaps? Did Trump read her book? She was fucked. We'll just end this early, said Trump. Amy Lynn said she's fired. He gave her another position in a new made-up agency. Yeah, which he can't, it's just a project. The Shield of America being announced Saturday, so in my opinion, that's fired. Can't demote. You can't, if you lose your position, you're fired. You can't be promoted. She's at the top. You can't be promoted anywhere else. She's a secretary. Anything other than a secretary position is a demotion. And if you get a demotion, you're fired from that position. MAGA doesn't care. They just don't want to admit that they were wrong about her getting fired. Will Mark Wayne try to fight everyone in these hearings now? Honest to God, I can't wait for Mark Wayne Mullen hearings because Kristi Noem will yap and cut people off. Mark Wayne Mullen, he cannot control his temper. He's going to be a shit show in these hearings. He's dumb. He has no experience here. He's going to fuck up repeatedly, and he's going to take direct orders from Trump, who's also another dumb guy. And then he's going to come before Congress, and he can't take accountability. So it's going to be a fucking nightmare.
Of aspects of DHS for killing innocent Americans, for terrorizing children. They will get accountability. And you are the Secretary of DHS for now.
She was right about that.
And you think you're immune from accountability. But I promise you this, one day, he is not going to be president anymore. He is not going to be in charge. And when that day comes, we will still be here. And we will still be seeking accountability. And in hearings like this, we are going to continue to prove your guilt. I yield back.
That lady yields back. Gentleman from...
I wish I would have saved, but I saw a tweet the other day that was like, we don't care if there's a nuclear Armageddon. We will pull our 7-legged asses out of the ground and demand that you give us the Epstein files. That's kind of how, that's where so many people are right now. You think it was bad last time. These MAGA folks think it was bad last time. And we caught you in a bunch of crimes, and you got lucky that Trump was able to run again. But this is way worse. Crimes on crimes on crimes on crimes. If MAGA doesn't run to Gaza to be with Trump, King Trump, it's going to be a problem for anybody in this administration. I do honestly believe you will see an exodus from this country of people in this administration running to Gaza for their protection, depending, I guess, on how this war goes. One more thing. Mark Wayne Mullen will have to address this, too. For everybody who said these aren't concentration camps, they're concentration camps. Just because they haven't ended in a mass extermination doesn't change that they're not a concentration camp. A concentration camp does not require mass extermination at the end. So just so we're clear on what a concentration camp is. These are concentration camps, and they are incredibly inhumane. This is, somebody remind me, Macbeth. I can't remember what state she's from, but explaining some of the conditions in these concentration camps.
Through that muck and
name the crimes. Oh, cool. Yeah, we can fraud, potentially treason. You're going to have multiple money laundering is another crime that they've definitely done. War crimes they won't be prosecuted for, but those definitely happen. But every president could be prosecuted for war crimes. Yeah. I mean, Trump has committed multiple crimes, financial crimes specifically, like multiple, and that's why he's got to take off. because he's in trouble. And his kids aren't going to be able to escape that.
Swallow of feces
espionage,
and
that's
bodily
another one,
fluids to enter and exit the shower.
Sorry,
This
let me
is
start that over
despicable.
real quick.
It's inhumane muck and squalor of feces and bodily fluids to enter and exit the shower. This is despicable. It's inhumane torture that no person should have to endure. And today, we have Rodney's wife, Mildred Donis Taylor, and her daughters. Please stand.
Johnny said, when does Rep. Crockett's tenure end? Is it this year? Has there been an update about her future plans? It ends at the beginning of next year. I don't know about her future plans.
Who are you, United States citizens? Secretary Noem.
Thanks, Tim.
Can you honestly tell Rodney's wife and family and the American people that are watching that these cruel and unusual conditions are acceptable under your watch?
I'm not familiar with this case, and I will certainly look into it and ensure that this center where Rodney is at is held to the same standards as all of our federal detention standards, which are the highest in the nation, overwhelmingly in comparison to other detaining facilities at the local or state level. The other thing that I would say,
I'm reclaiming my time.
Scott Fox, a daily reminder, the Dow has been below 50K every day since Bondi said that. It's at 47.7 right now. Also, oil is over 80 today. $80 a barrel. Wow. It was down to did it get sub 50? It was around 50, right?
is that at any point, Rodney
Did you just hear me what I
has an
described?
opportunity
Did
to leave
you
that
just hear what I
detention
described? He has to crawl through mold and feces and bodily fluids just to take a shower. He can't even get medical care.
Every
This
one
is
of our
absolute
detainees,
lunacy, and you know it.
every one of our
Member
detainees
Jayapal,
gets medical care
reclaiming
within
my
12 hours
time,
of being
reclaiming
there.
my time. Ranking Member Jayapal, myself, and 20 of my colleagues, we wrote to you about Rodney's treatment more than 2 weeks ago. Yes or no? Have you actually read the letter?
Chef, I don't know why you're not allowed to send super chat. I've got a bunch of comments like that recently. Sometimes PayPal screwed up, or super chats are screwed up. If you have Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal, send it that way, and we'll still read it.
I have not heard of this case, so I will see.
Tell
what
you,
that
I have the
is.
letter right here. And
It's always floated around 70ish. Why did I think it was down to 50? Okay, thank you.
would you like to read it? Because I'm more than happy to bring a staff
That'd be
member
great.
down to it.
That'd be fantastic.
Absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I will look into the
So
case.
then, if you're going to look into the case, can you tell us how long it'll be before we actually get a response from you? Maybe 2 weeks?
No, I'll get you a response.
Because
get the information.
we deserve an answer.
Yeah, not going to get a response from her, it turns out.
And Rodney's family definitely deserves an answer because this is inhumane treatment. And this leads me to believe that there are so many other detainees that are being treated exactly the same way. And this is despicable. Secretary, will you promise his wife?
All right, that doesn't matter because we're not going to get an answer there. You're going to have to ask that to Mark Wayne Mullen. All right, last one on her, and then we'll get to Iran for the rest of the show. Got about 45 minutes left. We've almost knocked out that gift goal, so thank you guys so much for that. I appreciate that. Here's Goldman. I feel like this is the best way to end with Kristi Noem. It really is. It kind of sucks that we had to get through this while she was fired. It would have been nice after this, but do it anyways.
And you're still, am I right, unwilling to say that you will not send DHS agents to polling places. Is that correct?
I'm not certain why you and the Democrat Party are so concerned that that would actually happen. That must mean that you're indicating people would be showing up at the polls to vote illegally, or that you would
that's
want
interesting.
illegal
Yes.
aliens to
Okay,
show
so
up
let's
and vote.
talk about that because this is
that
the
what you
big
think will
voter
happen?
fraud theory, right?
No, it's.
You're
I'm
aware of
wondering
the
what you're
Heritage
concerned
Foundation,
about.
right?
Because I have not
Are
recommended.
you aware of the Heritage Foundation?
Yes, I am, but I have not
Okay,
recommended.
so the Heritage Foundation, correct me if I'm wrong, is a right-wing think tank, created, drafted Project 2025, and it's been on a crusade to convince the American people that voter fraud by undocumented immigrants is a big deal. You know what the problem is that you never talk about any actual evidence. And in fact, the Heritage Foundation's own information, its own data, says that in the 32 years from 1992 to 2024, out of 2
Thanks, Kelly.
billion votes cast, 10 undocumented immigrants were found to have committed voter fraud.
We better pass that SAVE Act to save us from those 10 voters in 20 years out of 2 billion. It's very important.
10 out of 2 billion. Does that sound like a significant problem to you, that your answer about why you might put immigration agents is because there's voter fraud?
Individuals there, and I would think that if you have one
So you don't
person
think that
voting
voter fraud is a
improperly
problem?
in election.
So is it your testimony you don't think that voter fraud is a problem now?
I didn't say that. I said I have no.
Do you have
plans.
any evidence ever, any data,
There are
anything?
illegal immigrants that have voted in elections.
Yeah, they're
before
10.
That has happened.
They're 10.
And you
Do
think
you
we
have
should-
evidence more of that?
Oh, 30 years. Sorry, not 20 years. 30 years.
Are
30
you
years.
arguing that they should be able to vote? Is that your argument today?
Madam.
That's the typical Republican argument. Are you? No, I'm not. I'm asking. You're saying it's a huge problem. It's 10 out of 2 billion. So they should just be able to vote? No. We're asking you why you are why this is a mission for you guys, and how the fuck you plan on solving this. And if you do solve it, 10. We're gonna save 10 votes over 30 years. Doesn't seem like a good use of money.
Madam Secretary,
Well, wouldn't you
I'm
want to
arguing
fix
that
any
it doesn't.
No, we do have idea how many it is, Toker. We do know. That's the funny thing is you don't know because you don't know how to figure it out. He's citing the Heritage Foundation right now, the most right-wing think tank. They did a study over 30 years, and you can go through the votes and you can see how many times somebody's vote counted that was here illegally, and it was 10 out of more than 2 billion. You can find this answer out. We do know this answer. The Heritage Foundation has given it to us. You just don't like the answer because it doesn't go with the narrative that you've been told. So like all MAGA, you just fucking reject it. Like, oh, well, I have no data and they have some data, so I'm going to reject that and I'm going to go with what I feel.
Doesn't ever materially impact an election, and yet
We've had
you
elections
like to,
in
with
this
your
country.
snarky attitude, throw back that we want undocumented immigrants to vote, which is absolute
She is snarky.
bogus. In
So much.
reality, you want to create an excuse to terrorize our polling places.
All right.
And you're still...
We'll miss you, Kristi Noem. We're all very sad that she's going to be gone. It's gonna get rid of some dunkable moments. Mark Wayne Mullen, though, I don't think he'll disappoint. I think he will be equally stupid, but more angry. So it'll be good. She is snarky, but we like snark around here. All right, let's talk about Iran. This is I want to show this first because what we hear consistently out of Iran out of Republicans who come here is they do the bullshit thing where like you don't care about women's rights. Oh, you want to live under Sharia law? No. For the record, fuck Sharia law as a law. If you want to live it personally, that's fine by me. But as a law of the land, fuck that shit. Do I want to live in Iran? No. Do I want to live under the rule of a religious theocracy? Absolutely fucking not. Do I think that the people of Iran should overthrow their own leader and get a better government? Abso-fucking-lutely. Do I think we should do regime change war in Iran? No. Why? Because it never fucking works, and it never has fucking worked. And so I think we should use diplomatic means to try and make it work, which has been the only thing that has worked with Iran is actually the Iranian nuclear agreement, which got us some of our goals. So before these losers start saying that, for the record, fuck any radical religion who wants to force oppression on anybody. I'm not in favor of that in any way, shape, or form. I do not. But I also don't think that Islam, radical Islam, is more responsible for that than radical Christianity. I think that they both suck, and they can smell my asshole if they want to. But in Iowa, while we're worried about Iran and religious theocracies, Iowa, not so quietly, trying to force taxpayers to create a religious theocracy in Iowa.
Heard in committee and subcommittee court cases being referenced that prohibit states from excluding religious entities from generally available public benefits solely.
So what they're actually trying to do is they're actually trying to now create funding specifically to inject Christianity and Christian teachings into schools. And what they did in citing this is they cited a bunch of court cases that basically say that you can't deny somebody public benefits solely based on their religion. So if you are refusing to allow let's say a Baptist group publicly available benefits that perhaps a different church, let's say Jehovah's Witness or what they're getting, then that is illegal. What you can do is you can force a church to be a nonprofit, and then they have to play by those same rules. And you can't reject funding to them that you would give to somebody else based solely on the fact that they're a religious institution. So obviously, like the court cases that they're citing have nothing to do with the government taking taxpayer money and forcing Christianity into the schools. What is Ali said? Do you think the real reason they hired Pam and Kristi come in, mess up their department, then come back and say this is why we don't put women in charge? I don't think so, but if that's what they said, it wouldn't shock me. I mean, there's going to be certainly MAGA that say that
because they are religious. But these court cases do not require states to directly fund religious instruction or worship. This legislation is moving beyond what is required by the courts, beyond non-discrimination of religious entities, way beyond, to using Iowa taxpayer dollars to fund religious entities for explicitly religious materials and activities. The fiscal note on this bill adds about $500,000 a year to the Iowa taxpayers tab just to start paying for the explicitly religious aspects. In a year where we have a $1.2 billion budget deficit, there are a lot of things we could do with $500,000. We could ensure that Iowa children continue to get speech therapy.
No, not important. They need Jesus therapy.
Because Medicaid speech therapy for kids is right now getting cut in the name of fiscal responsibility to save pretty much that same amount. But instead, the majority party is trying to use taxpayer dollars to fund explicitly religious materials, activities.
That's dumb. Sharia is a binding legal system for this life and salvation through obedience. Christianity teaches salvation by faith in Christ's atonement, not law keeping. Okay, well, does Iran live under Sharia law? Are there not? And secondly, your definition of Christianity is different than some people's definition of Christianity. There are many Christians who believe, Andrew Wilson is one of the most prominent ones, who believes that their version of Christianity should be law. So they're doing the same thing. Again, this is not like what you're doing is you're taking fundamental, I guess let's say like radical Islam, and you're comparing it to generic Christianity. You need to compare radical Islam to radical Christianity. You have to compare the two, because like a lot of us have Muslim friends. They don't abide by Sharia law. None of my Muslim friends strictly abide by the specifically like the Sharia law that is pushed out by radical Islamic fundamentalists. We're just comparing the radical sides, and that's where you have to, like, if you're going to be good faith about this, you have to recognize that there are radicals in both of these religions, and both sets of those radicals want to specifically suppress women and specifically take what's from their religious texts and make it law. So if you're a Christian and you don't think that your beliefs should be law, then clearly we're not talking about you. We're talking about people far more radical than you. But it's one thing that I think is really hard for people to do in religion. When you're part of a religion, it's really hard to criticize people in your religion or people who are extremists in your religion because you feel like it's going to cast a bad light on your religion. What I would simply offer is that in the people that I've dealt with religiously, growing up in a religious cult, I appreciate people who can view their own religion and that they can talk about like the people inside of their religion who are extremists and how that might be a problem. You should look at the biggest attack for you Christians. The thing that's most likely to affect you is not members of another religion. It's the members of your religion. And oftentimes the fringe, they're more likely to seek positions of power. And once those positions of power are in place, then they start to enforce the beliefs into the law. And then you're in another tricky position because you're like, well, this is my religion. I do believe this, but I didn't want it to be law. However, if I go against this, the people in my religion are going to be like, see, you don't really believe it. And so a bunch of people wind up going along with it. And suddenly you have Christian nationalism or Christian, orthodoxy. And then we've got like a radical Christianity here and people's rights are being oppressed. But I wish that Christians would spend far more time criticizing the people who make their religion look bad than people in other religions. And if you are going to criticize other religions like Islam, I wish that you would be more accurate in the way that you described members of the Muslim faith, and learn to delineate between everyday, regular practicing Muslims who are largely peaceful people and the radicals who take the text, bastardize it, and turn it into fear and into violence. You must recognize that also exists in Christianity, and you should reject both of those. If you are afraid of Sharia law, certainly you should also be afraid of those orthodoxy leaders and fundamentalist Christians who want to impose Christian law on people. Those should both scare you in the same way.
I'm a religious person. I do not expect the taxpayers of this state to pay for my religious practice or my children's
Sandel, I guess we're going to do this. Christianity's been in American politics for over 250 years, so where's the radicalization that you're talking about? The people who are radicalized. The Christian pastors who say that women should not have the right to vote. The Christian pastors who have bastardized and now say we need to be a Western white nation, but they hide behind their Christianity. If you want names, we can give you names, right? Like the Klan. They all claim to be Christian. They all claim that those teachings are from Jesus. They claim that the Proud Boys, the Oath Keepers, the Patriot Front, specifically named like Nick Fuentes, Andrew Wilson. If you watch Andrew Wilson and you think he's good at debate because you're a Christian, I challenge you to go look at go find a podcast where in long form he talks about his actual beliefs and what he actually wants to do for this country. And what he wants to do is establish one church, which is the Orthodox religion. And that would take away women's rights to vote. That would certainly take away women's rights to their own reproductive, I guess their own reproductive rights. It certainly would strip away the rights of any immigrants who didn't come here or their ancestors came here from European countries that they like. There are radical Christians. Again, you're doing the thing that I asked you not to do. Don't take an attack on radical Christianity as an attack on you. If that's not you, if your version of Christianity doesn't say we should strip away the rights of women to vote, then I'm not fucking talking about you. I'm talking about the Christians who do say that, and you should be aware of who those people are and what they're doing. You should be aware that some of those people are currently in this administration. You should be aware of Pete Hegseth. Go read his book. You should be aware of the religious preacher. I don't remember what religion. I think it's Catholicism that Pete Hegseth brings in, who openly is it Doug Wilson? Is that his name? Who he advocates that women shouldn't have the right to vote. Those are the extremists that we're talking about. I'm not talking about America as a whole becoming Christian extremists, because for 250 years we've been becoming less Christian. We're less Christian now than we really ever have been. So clearly, I'm not saying our country is becoming extremist Christians. I'm saying that there are extremist Christians, and they are power hungry, and they try and get into these positions of power, and then they co-opt you, and they say, hey, you're with us. Like, what do you want to be? You need to be afraid of these atheists. They're actually going to attack you. So come with us, and we have to suppress these atheists. We have to take away their rights. These liberal, woke women, we've got to take away their rights. And yeah, that means that you're not going to have rights too, but you're with us. So we're obviously going to vote for the same shit that you want because we believe in the same things. We have to take away their rights so that we can keep our rights as Christians. And you're like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. And suddenly you're following fundamentalists or radicals, and you don't know that you don't know. It never occurred to you. You were so afraid of these people that they've been focusing on, that you were afraid we're going to take your rights, that you gave up your own rights. That's what we're afraid of. I don't think that most Christians in this country believe that shit. I do, however, think that there are a significant amount of Christians who will go along with that shit as long as their leaders scare them enough about Muslims or immigrants or atheists or communists or socialists. And then they create this binary choice. Would you rather be with us, or would you rather be with the dirty atheist communists? And you're like, well, I've got to choose one. I'll choose this. And then suddenly you don't have rights.
Religious upbringing ever. Certainly not when our state is in year 2 of a more than $1 billion budget deficit. Now, another way that this bill moves beyond is with the preschool provision. Right now, we have partnerships with our public schools and religious entities The public schools have the opportunity to choose to enter into these partnerships with community providers, and there are many of these public-private partnerships already in existence. This already happens, and it's good. If there is good communication, good relationships, good partnership. But this bill would move beyond that to require a public school to partner with anyone that approached them.
Oh, call out my own radicals? Sure. Who would you like me to call out? Which radicals would you like me to call out? I have a problem with the members of Antifa who go out and destroy property. I have a problem with we talked about this yesterday, that there was somebody that worked on Elizabeth Warren's campaign. Was it Warren? I think it was Warren's campaign. I want to say, and maybe also worked for Blumenthal. And she went over to Iran and she joined in a protest chanting "Death to America." We literally did that yesterday. I have no problem calling out people on the left who are trying to undermine people's freedom. I would certainly have a problem. There's I don't know any names of them, but I can tell you like an ideology that I don't like. I don't like true communists. I don't like people. I don't like the ideas of communism. I don't think it's a good idea to abolish the state, abolish the currency. I don't want to live in a stateless, lawless country, which would no longer exist. I have a problem with that. I have no problem with any of that stuff. Just give me names. I'm happy to shout them out. Do you know any? Like, what names do you have? Jasmine Crockett's not a communist. I'm left of Jasmine Crockett. My main criticisms of Jasmine Crockett is she's too friendly to corporations. If you think Jasmine Crockett is a radical, I think perhaps you're judging her based on what she looks like.
No matter what the circumstances. Page 2, line 8, emphasis is on maximum freedom for these entities. Maximum freedom.
No, not Hakeem Jeffries. No, not Cenk. No, Cenk's a sellout. Cenk's a corporatist now too. He's just getting paid. Nobody trusts Cenk anymore.
When it comes to our taxpayer dollars,
and Hakeem Jeffries is a moderate Democrat. He's virtually a Republican. How come you guys are just naming like black people? What's going on? But I love Bernie Sanders. I have no problem with Bernie Sanders.
What I hear from Iowans is they want oversight, accountability, results, maximum freedom. For the recipients of our tax dollars, that's not on the list. Iowans deserve nothing less than to know that their hard-earned money is being used wisely and for the purposes that benefit our communities. But this legislation goes well beyond what is required or what is appropriate, and so I will be...
Wait, proud of this. Hold on. You said, I love you, but you should look into communism a bit more because that's not what communists argue. Communism is moneyless, classless, and stateless. I know that some communists don't argue for that, but I said communism, right? So I don't agree with that. I don't think that moneyless, classless, stateless works in this world. I just don't think so. I think if you would have started the world that way, if that's how the world was, it could exist. But in today's world, having a moneyless, classless, stateless place like the United States, like if we just undid all that, that would be a problem. So yeah, I do agree that there are people who call themselves communists who don't advocate for that. But if somebody is a true communist and they do advocate for that, I would have a problem with that. How's Cenk a corporatist? He took a bunch of fucking corporate money and changed his opinion. He's anti-union. He's his own organization. He's supposed to be on the left, and he's like union busting his own organization. Cenk sees money signs and all of a sudden abandons his principles. I don't like Cenk. He's not an extremist, though.
Voting no. Thank you.
All right. You cannot serve God and mammon. Don't serve any of them. Don't do either of those things. Just be nice to people. All right. I got that one already. Lindsey Graham is on a fucking bender. And this is one of the weird, like, kind of alarming parts of covering the war in Iran as we've watched this. Like, at first, it wasn't about regime change. It definitely wasn't a religious war. And then when we start asking like the Republicans in charge what it is, and they're like, oh, it's just a religious war or it's regime change. Here's Lindsey Graham just confirming that the reason we're at war with Iran right now is about religion.
This is a religious war. Who wins it at the end of the day? Do the radical Islamic terrorists who want to kill all the Jews because God told them to? Who want to kill me because I'm an infidel? Who want to purify Islam, to reject moderation and make everybody a jihadist? This is a big deal.
You don't think they could take you out, Lindsey Graham? You don't think they could have? Like, this is what's kind of crazy. He says shit like this. Like, Iran could take out a senator. Of course they could. This idea that if people in Iran could take out any prominent American, they could. They absolutely could. And they don't. So I'm not buying that shit.
I'll deal with Section 230. So what we're facing right now is a moment of decision that will set the course of the future of the Mideast for 1,000 years. This is a religious war.
The Democratic Party is, who just said that, is socialist? Yeah, I fucking wish, man. Progressive socialist? Not even fucking close. Like, most of the people that watch this channel that would agree with me, we're begging the Democratic Party to be like progressive and more socialist. They're clearly not. We don't even have single payer health care. How the fuck are you going to, like, how are we socialists when we can't even get, even with Obama, we couldn't get single payer health care. He wanted single payer health care, and he had to negotiate with his own party and come up with Obamacare because the Democrats won't do single payer health care. It would be fucking awesome if the Democrats were more progressive and more socialist. We're begging for it, but they're not. And there's also this slippery slope fallacy that that socialism leads to communism. Where? Name one country that was socialist that became communist. It's never happened, ever. Not only is your slippery slope fallacy a fallacy because it doesn't always happen, like it actually has to make sense, but the one that you're claiming has never existed ever. There are 0 communist countries. There are countries who call themselves communist, but they don't operate like communists. It's a silly argument that you make, and it's a fear-based argument that you've been told your entire life. And the reason that that's your argument, and your argument isn't about like the efficacy of socialist policies, is because you're exactly what we told you, what we said people are when it comes to like radical Islamists. You've just been preached fear. Socialism bad. Socialism equals communism. So you come on a stream and you're like, this socialism bad, but communism worse. And if you accept socialism, you get communism. And that's literally the extent of what you know about socialism and communism. That's the entire extent of it, is just that it's bad. You're not making a good point. Let's go here. The Republican Liberty Caucus came out with a statement about the Iranian war. It said the Republican Liberty Caucus has long supported President Trump's commitment to an American first policy, foreign policy, a policy of strength through diplomacy, restraint, and putting American interests ahead of foreign entanglements. It is precisely because of this commitment that we must speak clearly. The military strikes on Iran conducted jointly with Israel are a dangerous departure from that promise. The Constitution is unambiguous. Article 1, Section 8 vests the power to declare war in Congress, not the president. The RLC has held this position consistently for over 30 years, regardless of which party occupies the White House. The War Powers Resolution further restricts unilateral executive military action to situations involving an imminent threat to the United States or a direct attack on American forces. No such imminent threat has been demonstrated to the American people or their elected representatives in Congress. We acknowledge that the president has access to intelligence that the public and most members of Congress do not. However, this administration told the American people last summer Operation Midnight Hammer successfully dismantled Iran's nuclear capabilities. If that is true, the justification for today's strikes as a response to an imminent nuclear threat collapses under the weight of this administration's own claims. If it is not true, the American people deserve to know that, and Congress deserves a full accounting before American lives are put at risk. when you're as far left as wherever I am left, like you find yourself at times of war siding with libertarians. And libertarians have kind of shaped in this last election. It was a libertarian viewpoint of foreign policy that most MAGA accepted. This non-interventionalist, we're not the world's police, no new wars idea. And then all of you just abandoned it as soon as Trump's like, never mind. You're like, yeah, never mind for us too. That's where progressives have not figured this out yet, but like that's who they should align with. Progressives and libertarians should get together. They agree on almost everything. The libertarians attaching to the Republicans has never made any fucking sense. All right. This was a really cool segment, CNN.
Tom, how significant?
We'll probably end after this because I do have a hard cutoff, but this was a really cool representation. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, but one of the problems that we have in this war, one of the challenges that America is going to have, is that we have really big, expensive, powerful weaponry. And it appears that what we don't have is the ability to stop drones. In fact, we are now, ironically, reaching out to Zelensky and the Ukrainians to figure out how to combat these drones. Because we didn't foresee this. I can't believe Pete Hegseth didn't make this a priority. It's weird. Lot of time doing makeup, a lot of commercials, doing push-ups, talking about how shitty women and trans people are, making sure that we take Black history out of the military. Any reference to any LGBTQ person, get them out of the military. And here we are now fighting a war against Iran, and we have one really glaring weakness, that we can't deal with drones very well.
Is the concern that U.S. air defense may not be able to intercept many of these Iranian drones?
It is significant and it is growing, Pam. Wolf, let's take a look at what the U.S. is doing right now. They are fielding a previously unused military asset. And I'm going to show you a life-size model that we bring into our virtual studio here. This is the Lucas drone, low-cost unmanned combat attack system. It is, as you can see, about 10 feet long, about an 8-foot wingspan. It weighs about 180 pounds. It's powered by a propeller back there, which means...
Why are you guys getting mad at this like I'm wrong about this? What attacks have we not been able to stop against the Iranians so far? Drones, kamikaze drones. If you don't know that, then pull your head out of Trump's asshole and take a look around. Yeah, we're really good at war, and we're really good at a lot of things, and we're really fucking up Iran right now. But we do have a weakness, and the weakness happens to be drones.
Very low heat signature, hard to track. And up front, it can carry about 40 pounds of high explosives. It is also, interestingly, based upon a clone of an Iranian drone, the Shahed 1.
Weird. Malcolm said Trump voters should be first to go.
136 kamikaze. The Iranians have been working on this for years. The U.S. got a hold of one. They had engineers take it apart and say, let's build a better version of it. That's what they have done. And yet the Iranians continue to rely on this and many other types of drones. But this one in particular, they rely on for several reasons. One, compared to a missile, which requires a great big launch platform that can be targeted and taken out, and then the missiles are no longer useful. This can be launched from the back of a truck, from the middle of a field, from a boat, compared to a missile, which requires a big production facility, which also can be targeted.
Nobody's wishing death upon your fellow Americans. They should be the first to go to war. If they're cheerleading on this war, they should be the first ones to go volunteer, Justin. I'll take that apology. And it wasn't me that said it, but that's what Malcolm was saying.
And destroyed. These can be made in many covert locations all over that are hard to track down. And compared to a missile, which will cost at least $1 million, sometimes several million, this is cheap, only about $20,000 per unit. So when we look at these maps out here where you see places where drones have hit or missiles have hit, every time a drone is hit, it doesn't necessarily mean just one drone was launched there. Instead, squadrons of things are launched. They send many of them in precisely because of what you said at the top, Wolf. Because if you have a system out there that can't stop all of them, you only need 10% to get through to do a tremendous amount of damage, as we have been seeing in these videos in various places.
He said, just looked it up. Iran can make 100,000 drones a month. Holy shit. I did not know that.
One of the concerns here is also that the cost of the systems to stop these is higher than the cost of the drones. In many ways, military analysts say the Iranians have been preparing for many years for just this type of conflict. So, though they didn't want to have a war necessarily.
Jody, shut the fuck up. You are a crybaby. Shut the fuck up. All you're doing is just anybody who says anything, you're begging for attention. Shut the fuck up for a little bit.
Now that
Relax.
the war has come to it, their use of drones is forcing the U.S. to fight a type of battle that the Iranians would prefer, even as the U.S. tries to turn that weapon back against them.
What we're seeing play out here is essentially a war of attrition. It's the ability of the Iranians to launch missiles and drones versus the supply of U.S. and Israeli interceptors that can knock them out. Now, President Trump said a couple of days ago, and rather absurdly, that there's an unlimited supply of missiles and interceptors and munitions, and that's simply not the case. But there are some signs that the Iranians had a lot of capabilities, but it's definitely being degraded. I mean, on the first day, they launched 350 missiles. On the second day, 175. On the third, it looks like about 125, and only 50 yesterday. So there's still there's definite signs that they're being degraded. The other thing that they're working on is the launcher.
I don't remember who it was. Somebody sent me that the other day that they're launching less and less drones. But I don't think anybody made that claim that they're continuing to launch more drones. But I do think that military intelligence is viewing that as a sign that they're running out of drones. Maybe that's true. Maybe they're just going in waves. We'll find out.
The missile launchers. They started the war with perhaps 450. The IDF is claiming perhaps at least half of them have been knocked out. But they still have a lot of drones, a lot of missiles.
It's also to point out, while we're talking about like the capabilities of Iran versus us, that we don't need to be in this fucking war, and it makes no fucking sense that we're in this war, and nobody's ever able to give us any justification for why we're in this war. So like, this stuff it matters. It's good to have an understanding, but what if we just stopped going to fucking war for no goddamn reason? That'd be a good idea.
The drones can be very, very dangerous, and we've seen play out in Ukraine. Yeah. Of course, the Iranians are providing a lot of drones to the Russians, so it's probably going to involve a war of attrition. The ability of the Iranians to continue to mount attacks using their missiles, what's left of them, and their drones, and the United States racing against time to try to knock out their capabilities to deliver those munitions.
Two sources have also told CNN that at least one of America's Gulf allies is already...
All right. I actually can cut it there. I just want to get the drone part. We do have a little more time. Let's talk about this because we'll finish off just seeing if this administration can give us any understandable answer as to why the fuck we're at war with Iran. We're still waiting for that. This is Undersecretary Elbridge Colby talking to Tim Kaine. Let's see if he can give us a good reason. Because again, Elbridge Colby has been saying for the last year and a half, like, we're not going to do regime change war, and we don't go into unprovoked wars. We only go into wars where we're provoked. I don't know what the provocation is here, and it certainly is a regime change war.
National defense strategy, as the policy lead at the Pentagon, you play a key role in draftsmanship discussion, but then it goes up the ranks and it gets approved by the secretary and it also gets approved by the president, correct?
Certainly, I think it's fair to say, I would say this strategy has been more extensively coordinated, not only within the department, but in the White House.
But just in terms of approval, this does not get published on January 23 without the secretary and the president saying, I'm fine with
I wouldn't get specifically into the specifics of coordination. Obviously, it's signed by the Secretary of War.
Yeah.
It's on his statutory responsibilities.
Okay.
But I would also say I would assert that this is the most extensively coordinated defense strategy.
So the Secretary of War is not going to issue it unless the president agrees. Now, this was January 23, 6 weeks ago.
I would say we don't do anything, and certainly not something as significant as this without being aligned with the president. We pay a lot of attention to that.
So you've agreed with me and taken 10 seconds of my time to do so. So, I mean, the national defense strategy no longer will the department be distracted by interventionism, endless wars, regime change, and nation building.
Boy, we've been really distracted by all of those things for an administration that wasn't going to be distracted by those things.
Venezuela and and Iran. I'm not going to ask you whether or not that's interventionism, because I'm not going to embarrass you by making you try to say that it's not. It's interventionism. It's interventionism. Second, we hope it's not endless war, but we don't know how, in particular, Iran's going to go. Third, is arresting Maduro and killing the Ayatollah, is that regime change?
Senator, I don't think the Venezuela Operation Absolute Revolt is a perfect example of how we're not getting.
Just answer my question.
If I may respond earlier, I think absolutely we have learned the lessons, and I thought Secretary Hegseth expressed that very well yesterday.
The arrest of a foreign leader and the assassination of another, is that regime change, contrary to what you said 6 weeks ago in the document?
Yeah, how is it not? If you're changing the regime, it's regime change.
Well, what I would say is that both operations have learned the precise lessons that you're
is it
talking
regime
about.
change?
And
you can answer that question. Do you change a regime when you arrest or kill the president?
Of the issue. I mean,
well, how do you?
I don't know. I think it's an interesting debate, but I think
it's not that interesting of a debate. It's like if you took your shirt off and they're like, did you take your shirt off? Well, that's the thing. We've learned a lot of lessons from the past about taking our shirts off, and it's an interesting debate on whether or not I took my shirt off. No, bitch, you took your shirt off. If you change a regime, it's regime change. It's not complicated. There's no need for debate. It's just what words mean.
In the case of Venezuela, there's no change in the government's
let me just
behavior.
say then, you are uncomfortable having your own words read to you, and you're uncomfortable saying that the assassination of a leader and the arrest of a leader, you won't acknowledge that's regime change. I think that's very instructive to those.
He's got that Scott Jennings look when there's, I just don't admit things. The Republican look now. Yeah, I just lie. Here, Caroline Leavitt was asked about what is this imminent threat? We're still waiting for this administration to tell us what the imminent threat was. So far, their answer legitimately is it was Trump's feelings. But here's Caroline Leavitt.
You're welcome. At the top of the briefing, you listed a long list of grievances against the Iranian government, going back to the takeover of the embassy in '79, barracks bombing in the '80s, etc. But no one from the administration has laid out the imminent threat that was supposed to be taken care of by this. And the rationales offered by, say, Secretary Rubio, the president's national security advisor, said that the threat was retaliation against American interests from Iran after Israeli strikes. The president says it was his own feeling that Iran was going to attack. Why is it that across the administration you can't say what the imminent threat against the United States was that required us to launch this? And also, Prime Minister Starmer told Parliament today that his reason that he didn't allow the use of British bases was that he was not satisfied that there was a lawful basis and a viable, thought-through plan. Was there an attempt to provide the UK government with a legal basis for these strikes and a viable, thought-through plan? To the first question, I completely reject the premise of your question. You have had the President of the United States, the Secretary of War, the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, the Vice President of the United States, the Secretary of State.
I reject your question. His question was like, his question is, what was the imminent threat? We've heard what you said. Like something from 1979 sure as fuck can't be an imminent threat. The UK said there was no imminent threat. You've given us no evidence that there was an imminent threat. I reject that premise. Okay.
And now I am out here today to explain to you exactly what led the president to make the decision to launch.
Gabe, I can see your comments, so I didn't mute you, and I'm not capable of muting you. We have auto mod, so you might have said something, but we can all still see your comments. You're not muted. Stop being a little bitch.
Operation Epic Fury. And President Trump does not make these decisions in a vacuum. This decision to launch this operation was based on a cumulative effect of various direct threats that Iran posed to the...
What direct threat, though? If you say various, you certainly should be able to point to one of them, because we're still waiting for one.
United States of America, and the president's feeling based on fact that Iran does pose an imminent and direct threat to the United States of America, based on the fact that they are the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism, based on the fact that they were rapidly—
It's not a fact. That's an opinion.
And aggressively building up their ballistic missile program to give themselves immunity within their country alongside their Navy so that inside their country they could continue.
Wait, but if they're just building up their ballistic missiles and none of their ballistic missiles can hit the United States, that's not an imminent threat either. So 0 for 2. What did I just do? Oops. Sorry about that.
To create nuclear weapons and nuclear bombs, which would, of course, pose a risk to Americans.
But they didn't have any nuclear weapons, so having a nuclear program is an imminent risk. And they said they were 3 years away. Imminent matters, right? The wording of our Constitution matters. It has to be an imminent threat. 3 years away is not an imminent threat.
In the region, and even Americans one day here at home. And then another point on this is the president found that through these extensive, exhaustive, failed negotiations with Iran—
I don't understand how ballistic missiles work. Oh, but I do know that their ballistic missiles couldn't reach the United States. I do know that. They were short-range ballistic missiles, so they didn't have any ICBMs.
that they were hell-bent on death and destruction. So again, the president was not going to be just another president on a very long list.
So the cumulative effect of a bunch of non-imminent threats makes it an imminent threat? I can see your nipples. You took your... Jesus, Jamar.
To sat back and stood by and passed the buck of this direct threat to the next administration. The president had a feeling, again, based on fact, that Iran was going to strike the United States.
So she admits it. He just had a feeling. Based on fact. And the fact, some of the facts she laid out weren't facts. Some of them were facts. None of them were imminent threats.
To strike our assets in the region, and he made a determination to launch Operation Epic Fury based on all of those reasons. And I would like the media.
Yeah, Sam, they didn't have any yet. Right. So because they didn't have any yet, it is not an imminent threat. Paul, I swear to God, he can't feel you sucking his dick because you're not actually sucking his dick. You're just pretending to suck his dick. He can't feel this. You're not giving him any pleasure. You don't need to run cover for this dipshit regime. You can ignore the word imminent all you want, but that's what the Constitution requires. So all you're doing by arguing this point in the chat is like, yeah, but we don't really care about the Constitution. We just want to defend Trump. We get it. We get it. You're all cucks. It's fine. We're used to that. But Jesus fucking Christ, take his dick out of your mouth for like 1 second and think about what words mean.
To actually report on all of them, rather than just picking sound bites from one person in this administration and saying, oh, they're contradicting the other person. No, again, these decisions are not made in a vacuum. They are made by the president's feeling that Iran was going to strike the United States and our assets in the region, and he was not going to sit back and watch that happen. The determination was made that the president was going to strike first alongside Israel, and that has obviously been proven to be the right decision and an effective one at that.
I don't know about that. Z. Barrett said, we may win with Iran, but they are exposing holes in our military and defenses that others can and will exploit. Like, yeah, probably, maybe. But what if we stopped going to fucking war all the time? Iran, we've never been attacked by Iran, ever. Not one single fucking time. Not one time. But I have a feeling this time it's going to be. Let me skip. But Trump was asked, I'll skip it, but Trump was asked to give us our response or our actions a rating on a scale of 1 to 10, and he gave it a 15 because he's a fucking idiot. Here is I think this is him real quick. Yeah, here's Trump lying some more, or at the very least not giving us evidence. I'll try and be more charitable here. What Trump says, nobody has provided evidence for. Get Whitney Webb. This is deeper than rap. I know. Okay. Send me the Whitney Webb stuff.
If we didn't hit within 2 weeks, they would have had a nuclear weapon. If we didn't do the B-2 attack a number of months ago, they would have a nuclear weapon. And when crazy people have nuclear weapons, bad things happen.
Our own intelligence says they were 2 to 3 years away from having a nuclear weapon. Donald Trump loves saying 2 weeks. If he says 2 weeks, you can almost guarantee it's a lie. But our own intelligence says they weren't anywhere close to getting a nuclear weapon. The IAEA says that they were nowhere close. The UN says that's a lie. Literally, Israeli intelligence, it can't back that up. No, not one piece of information exists that says they were 2 weeks away from getting a nuclear weapon.
So we're in very good shape now. I want to let you know that, and we will continue forward. But it's a great display of military strength, and I'm very proud to have, with some of the people in the room, both senators and congressmen, we rebuilt, and women. If we didn't.
All right. So this was interesting. Now, the UK, Keir Starmer said today that they are going to enter the war. He said that Iran started attacking other countries in the region, which is true, and some of those are allies. However, what they're mostly doing is they're obviously they were attacked, so they're going to go after the people that were attacked that attacked them. But this is really interesting news coming out of the UK Ministry of Defense, and to me, this has Israel written all over it because this is what they do.
Update you with some of the latest information that we're getting from the Ministry of Defence, and this is about UK military use around the Gulf. We're hearing overnight RAF Typhoon and F-35B jets continued defensive air operations across the Middle East with support from Voyager air-to-air refuelling in defence of British interests and allies. Important, I think, that the word defensive operations.
Even though they're saying, like, what do you think? Classified information is going to be on YouTube? No, but the people who have viewed the classified information, not one of them has said that there was an imminent threat. Every one of them says there was no imminent threat. So who do you believe? Donald Trump isn't saying that there was an imminent threat. Donald Trump is saying it was just his feeling. Who are you arguing with at this point? This is why, like, it's hard to take you guys seriously, because you are creating a new argument for Donald Trump that he's not even making. You're giving him more credit than he deserves. He's not saying any of that shit. You're making up stories now to defend Donald Trump. That's a little pathetic. You are grown-ups, or allegedly grown-ups. Act like grown-ups. Don't lie for people.
Defence is included in that from the Ministry of Defence, as Keir Starmer has made it very clear that is what UK troops are doing, defensive operations only. They can also confirm that a Sheehy-like drone which targeted RAF Akrotiri on the 2nd of March, that was the drone that came in at midnight. They are saying that that was not launched from Iran. So that is interesting and significant. They are not giving us any information as yet.
Israel wouldn't do that, right? They wouldn't do like a false flag attack to try and bring people into a war. Right? Or are we saying that, like, Iran just now has state, like, places outside that they're launching from?
As to where they think that was launched from. But a drone that hit RAF Akrotiri, that was the one I think that caused damage to the airstrip, did not come from Iran, was not launched from Iran, obviously may well have come via Iran. And in the last 24 hours, the UK has resupplied air defence systems to British and allied bases across the region, including UK-built air defence missiles, and that Royal Navy Wildcat helicopters armed with Martlet missiles capable.
All right. We'll see. See how this plays out. I would love for this administration at some point to give us some sort of explanation on what the imminent threat was. Lucky for this Trump administration, they've got millions of dumb fucks who didn't learn anything from every regime change war we've ever done. Just trust the government. I promise Iraq has weapons of mass destruction. We promise you they do. If we don't go into Afghanistan, we will be attacked. There is an imminent threat from Afghanistan. Just learn from history. Don't play team sports. I got to get going. I got to go pick up my daughter. Let me check messages one more time. I'll get out of here. Renee said, what is the Discord link? I'm sure Jen said she sent that to you. So thank you, Renee. I don't think I missed any other ones. I think I got them. Jen, did I miss any? Are you aware of? Emmett's 35. Jen, did I miss any?
No. There's a new super chat that came in.
Oh, talking about Epstein, Israel, and Iran without knowing Whitney Webb's work is malpractice. She's done the great work in blackmail. No, I said I do know who Whitney Webb is. I was just saying if you had like a specific video. We've shown Whitney Webb on this program. I've played multiple Whitney Webb videos. I just thought you were referencing like a specific one. So if you have one in specific, I don't think I've seen any of her stuff in the last couple of weeks, maybe a week or two, but send it to me. I like Whitney Webb. I'm a big fan. I think I'm subscribed to Whitney Webb on YouTube. Pretty sure. I haven't come across any of her videos yet. I should. And that's a good reminder. I should go to her channel. She knows a lot more than me about this stuff. Okay. I'll be back tomorrow morning, every weekday morning, 8:30 a.m. to noon Pacific Standard Time, right here, wherever you're watching. Remember, next week we're going to go to 9:30 because I don't have daylight savings, but the rest of you all have daylight savings, so we'll be changing that up a little bit. In the meantime, you can catch the replays here on YouTube, Twitch. If you would like to help us out, you can engage in our content anywhere else, leaving comments, liking videos. Make sure you're subscribed. If you want to join us for our members only event on Monday, where we're going to watch 2073 in the Discord, make sure you're a paid subscriber on either TikTok, YouTube, or Twitch, and we'll make sure to get you in. And you got to join the Discord too. That's where we watch it. Merch link is in the bio with our healthcare hoodie. I am on Cameo, so if you want me to call you a dumb bitch, you can go on Cameo and you can order that or anything else. Other than that, take care of yourselves. Go outside and touch grass if grass is available to you. If you don't have grass available to you, perhaps you could smoke some grass that might be available to you. If you can't do that, maybe lemongrass. I heard that that's really good. Make a smoothie out of it. And if not that, I don't know what you're going to do. Be nice to yourselves. Be nice to each other. Drink lots of water. Take care of your bodies and your minds. Stay cute and cool. And have a great, great summer. Hit the end screen. There we go.